Now, from Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, it's ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. Tonight, the 4th of July celebrations continue as the Padres meet the Phillies.
Center field, and the Pirates have swept the series. A 2-run ninth inning. As a drive deep to right by Jefferson, the ball game is over. Cleveland has won it 3-2.
It's the 4th of July, and we are in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Tonight, ESPN Sunday Night Baseball featuring the San Diego Padres and the first-place Philadelphia Phillies. In the National League East, the Phillies have been challenged by the St. Louis Cardinals. But the Cardinals have gone to Houston, and they have been swept, losing today 9-4. With a win tonight, the Phillies will go 7-up. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller along with Joe Morgan, and happy 4th of July to you. Hope you're having a great weekend, and please have a safe weekend. Now, here in Philadelphia, we're getting a look at this Phillies ball club that was just off to an incredible start. On June 14th, they had an 11.5 game lead and were conceded dependent, but since have fallen upon hard times. The Cardinals got hot, and the Phillies started to lose, and this week they lost 3 out of 4 in St. Louis to bring St. Louis to within 5.5. They started to get worried. They had a team meeting here on Friday. And, Joe, you've been through many a pennant race. Any reason for the Phillies to start getting nervous now?
Well, I don't think so. It's too early in the season to panic. But what happens when you call a players-only team meeting? I called a couple of those over my career. It didn't turn out so well. But I think what happens is you start to put pressure on individuals because inevitably you started pointing fingers at each other. And when you do that, one player tries to carry the team when he's not capable. So I think you put undue pressure on yourselves when you start calling team meetings this time of the year.
All right. Well, the Phillies have reached the halfway point, still on a pace to win 106 games, even though they've lost 7 of their last 10. A lot of talent on this ball club. Leadoff man Len Dykstra, the igniter. John Kruk, a .350 hitter. And great RBI men like catcher Darren Daulton. And Dave Hollins is back.
Well, you know what I think the biggest part of the Phillies is the fact that they are a very aggressive ball club, hard-nosed ball club with a lot of emphasis on aggressiveness. I think when they're aggressive, they overcome a lot of their shortcomings. They do not play real good defense, but they play so hard that they overcome that a lot of times.
All right, now the San Diego Padres, a ball club that no longer has Gary Sheffield, but they still have some power. They have some exciting players like Tony Gwynn. He's been getting on base. And, of course, Fred McGriff. He has gone 6 for 11 in this series with 2 homers and 6 RBIs. This is the home run he hit last night to the opposite field against a tough left-hander, Danny Jackson. So Fred McGriff now with 18 home runs. And as the weather's gotten hot, it seems that Fred McGriff has gotten hot.
And the funny thing, that he has won both of these games against the Phillies. The Phillies have pitched to him in clutch situations. I don't expect him to do that tonight.
All right. So the Phillies are on top, but they've lost 2 out of 3 here at home to the lowly Padres. Try to get a split here tonight. ESPN's presentation of Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by Bud Light. If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. And by Pizza Hut, who reminds you that any time's a great time to stop and smell the pizza. John Miller and Joe Morgan at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, Independence Day, 1993. Here's the batting order for Jim Riggleman's San Diego Padres. Jeff Gardner leads it off at second base. Ricky Gutierrez, very fine young prospect at short. Tony Gwynn is in right field. Fred McGriff bats cleanup, having a hot series. Phil Plantier, maybe he's found himself in San Diego. Derek Bell showing signs of being a star. Kevin Higgins, the young catcher. Archie Sinfraco, former Montreal Expos at third base. And Tim Worrell, brother of Todd, is the starting pitcher. And to the mound for the Phillies, Big Ben Rivera, and a very fine one-loss record for this guy.
Well, he has a good fastball, curveball, and a changeup, and he really uses his changeup well. And I think that comes from the fact that Johnny Padres is the pitching coach, and he had one of the greatest changeups ever. And defensively for the Phillies, they will have Dykstra in center field. He's back full-time now after missing a lot of games last year, and Hollins is back after surgery on his right hand. He was only out for 15 days after surgery. He's back.
So here we go now. Jeff Gardner will lead it off against Ben Rivera. These San Diego players, not household names just yet. There's strike one to Gardner. Gardner is a guy who played a long time in the minor leagues, mostly in the New York Mets organization. Finally came to the Padres in '91. And that is a ball. He's a left-handed hitting second baseman. There's Jim Riggleman, who seems to be receiving high marks from everybody for his prowess as manager of this ball club, but he's just got a tough hand to play right now.
I think what he has shown is patience, John, and I think that's why everyone is in his corner. He's shown patience with the management for some of the trades they have made, and he's also showed a lot of patience with the ball club, with the players themselves.
Toward the middle, this is Morandini, and Gardner is out number one. There is Dan Radisson. He's coaching at first base for San Diego. And Bruce Bochy is the third base coach. That'll bring up Ricky Gutierrez. And this fellow was in the Baltimore Orioles organization, and it came in the deal that sent Craig Lefferts to Baltimore last September. And Gutierrez from Miami. He's only 23 years of age. And he takes ball one. He's got a little speed, and he's hit well for the Padres, hitting .285 with a home run at 9 runs batted in. A big guy, too, for a shortstop. 6 feet 1 inches tall. 6 feet 1 inch tall.
John, they really like him. They characterize him as having a little fire in his eyes. They like the way that he plays the game.
He made his way through the Orioles farm system, made every stop, and then ended up in Las Vegas last year, the AAA team for the Padres. And I think they're a little surprised at how well he has hit. He hit .253 at Rochester last year, his first full year in AAA ball, and his highest batting average at any stop along the way was .275 back in A ball. So he gets a walk. Gutierrez will take first base, and that will bring up Tony Gwynn. Now we got a guy coming up we don't have to tell you that much about. Tony Gwynn. We can tell you he's hitting .314. And as Tony Gwynn looks at it, only .314. He's struggling a little bit. 2 homers, 19 doubles, 26 runs batted in. Of course, Fred McGriff is on deck. With Sheffield having gone now to Miami, Gwynn, who'd been hitting second in front of Sheffield, moves back to third. A strike. Dana DeMuth is the home plate umpire. Bill Hahn at first, Larry Poncino at second, and Wally Bell is the third base umpire. This is the 4th game of this series here for the holiday weekend in Philadelphia, but I'm sure to these ball clubs they feel like they've been here for weeks. It's Milt Thompson. 2 down, and that will bring up McGriff. They played a doubleheader here, of course, Friday. That certainly you've heard by now that it was supposed to start at 4:35, and it did not end for more than 12 hours. Although, as one of the Phillies players put it after that ball game, he said, "Hey, shortest doubleheader in history. Started at 4:35, ended at 4:40." Fred McGriff. Seems like a first baseman who's got great home run potential. Call the Padres. Most of the Padre players feel that McGriff is going to be next. That's a base hit, and he is 7 for 12 in this series. I guess it's a victory for Rivera in that he kept him in the ballpark. Not many have lately.
Well, he's been swinging the bat exceptionally well, and I think he put it best when they said, well, doesn't it bother you that your you may be traded any day. He said, no, it doesn't bother me. He said, I have a lot of professional pride. I have pride in what I do on the field. And whether it's here in San Diego or wherever I go, I'm going to take that pride with me. So I think Freddie McGriff has the proper attitude to play under these circumstances.
Consistently productive in terms of his home run production. I mean, every year he's up around somewhere between 32 and 35 home runs. Here's Phil Plantier, former Red Sox, and he takes ball one. Plantier is hitting .261. He's got 12 home runs. I've seen enough from Plantier this year. I think he might be a steady 25 home run a year man. So maybe they've come up with a guy that can be a solid performer for them. That's the whole idea with all of the deals that they've been making. They're hoping that the young pitchers they got for Sheffield will turn into to stars. And of course, there have been so many deals made that could be years before we finally sift through everything and say how they did in all those trades. 2 on, 2 out. It is 3-0 with Derek Bell, former Blue Jay, on deck. Now remember, the Cardinals lost today, so the Phillies with a victory would move 7 games up on St. Louis. They'd like to do that. They have not been gaining much ground in the Cardinals lately. It's gone the other way. Well, the bases are loaded, so Rivera's got all the trouble he can handle now with Derek Bell coming up. And there is Randy Smith. The changes of the Padres not limited strictly to on-field changes. Joe McIlvain resigning, reportedly under pressure as the general manager, and Randy Smith, at 30 years of age, the youngest general manager in baseball, son of Tal Smith, very well-known baseball executive. Here is Derek Bell. Look at that, 13 homers, .270 batting average. That's a foul out of play. Comes up with the bases loaded. A chance to put the Padres ahead. Gutierrez, who walked, is at third base. McGriff, who singled to center, is at second base. And Plantier, who walked, is at first. All three ready to go on anything against Ben Rivera. And Philly's starting pitching has been struggling badly of late. And that's a ball. Derek Bell, like McGriff, and like Sheffield, from the Tampa, Florida area. In fact, he and Sheffield played Little League ball together. You see Bell in his last 6 games starting to get it going. He was in a long slump there for a while. For a long while. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
John, you mentioned the Phillies starting pitching has been struggling lately. Well, really, part of that it has been their defense. They have made so many mistakes in the field. Some of them are not recorded as errors, but they're making mistakes which are giving the opposing team extra outs per inning, and that's what's making it tough on their starting pitching.
A ball and 2 strikes, the count. Bell backs away. Two and 2.
One of the problems Rivera has had has been base on balls. He came into the game with 41 bases on balls in only 80 innings. Now he has 43.
Full count. 3 balls, 2 strikes now to Derek Bell. Kevin Higgins, the catcher, is on deck. So all of the runners will be off and running with this pitch now. Padres have been very poor this year in these kind of 2-out clutch situations. They have not produced as a team. 3 and 2, the runners go. And that's a high foul that will reach back in amongst the spectators. John Kruk gave chase over in first base, but it's well back out of play. 3 and 2 to Derek Bell. 13 home runs. You saw those figures. They always thought he was going to be a star in Toronto. But they became disenchanted with him. They didn't like his work ethic. They didn't like his attitude. And they traded him this spring for Darren Jackson. And Bell found himself with the Padres. The runners go. And it should be an easy play for Morandini. And Rivera gets out of it. And it's more of the same for the San Diego Padres. 3 left, no runs. That's the view of downtown Philadelphia from Veterans Stadium on the 4th of July, 1993. No score in the ball game. The Phillies are coming up now. It'll be Lenny Dykstra leading off in center field. Milt Thompson is in left field. John Kruk at first base. Dave Hollins at third base. Darren Dalton is the catcher hitting fifth. Wes Chamberlain is in right field. Mickey Morandini batting seventh at second base. Kim Batiste at shortstop. Mariano Duncan on the disabled list now. And Ben Rivera hits ninth. He's the starting pitcher. On the mound for the Padres is Tim Worrell, just recently up from the minor leagues. And Worrell, the younger brother of Todd Worrell, trying to make his mark in the big leagues.
And you can take a look, John, at the numbers that are highlighted there. More hits than innings pitched. Pretty good ball strike ratio. You like to have 2 strikeouts for every base on ball, so he's close to that. But not much of a reading on him yet. They're still trying to find out how good he's going to be. And the Padres defense, Sinfraco is at third base. And he has been brought up to replace Gary Sheffield, and Freddie McGriff over at first base. The crime dog, they call him.
Len Dykstra. We'll try and get it started here. Tim Worrell, by the way, will celebrate his 26th birthday tomorrow.
John, Dykstra sets the tone for the Phillies. He plays the game very aggressively, and he's a good hard-nosed player, and the rest of the Phillies kind of follow suit. They all fit very well in this pattern that the way the Phillies play. It's a very good leadoff man, very good.
Dykstra leads the club with 73 runs scored halfway through the season. Now think about that. They're exactly halfway through. At that pace, he would score 146 runs this year. Not many reach that level.
The record is 158, if I remember correctly.
And who am I to doubt? 8 homers for Dykstra, 21 RBIs. He had a home run last night. He's got a little pop. He's also got 23 doubles. Good on base average. Excellent center fielder. He can do a little bit of everything. And it's a base hit. Gutierrez went high for it at shortstop. Couldn't get it. Big game for the Phillies here. They do not want to see the lowly Padres take 3 or 4 from them in their home ballpark.
Take a look at his swing. See how he goes right into the ball, pitches down and away, and he just lines it to left field. Good hitting by Dykstra, but I think you'll see Kruk, Dykstra, and also Dalton with 3 of fine left-handed hitters here.
Milt Thompson, one of the off-season pickups. He and Pete Incaviglia were picked up to more or less platoon in left field. And that's a strike. And mainly the changes made by the Phillies on the actual roster were guys like that, role players for the bench, guys like Milt Thompson, Incaviglia, Jim Eisenreich, and these guys have all produced in a very big way. Especially Incaviglia. He's been something else. Incaviglia has driven in 53 runs, and he's not even an everyday player. And then Milt Thompson checks in with his 27 RBIs. That's a pretty productive duo right there.
You know, John, even though the Phillies finished 70 and 92 last year, they showed signs of having a good team. You know, Grossi said really their problem last year was a lack of depth. And you just mentioned, you know, Milt Thompson, Incaviglia, and Eisenreich. They have taken over the, you know, and the bench strength. They've added bench strength to the Phillies. And now all of a sudden they have a good ball club. I mean, they finished 3rd in home runs last year, 2nd in runs, and 1st in complete games. So they had some signs of having, you know, a good ball club this year.
That foul is out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Milt Thompson. Well, they had a lot of injury problems that really struck that. It was like a plague that went through their starting rotation a year ago. And all of those guys are healthy. And in fact, Tommy Green, who missed virtually the whole season, is back and healthy. They added Schilling last year. He's been a great addition to this rotation. Dykstra at first, and back to the bag he goes. Dykstra with 22 steals and been caught only 4 times. Also has made it in each of his last 14 attempts. So he picks his spots. Usually when he runs, he makes it. Tim Worrell in a little bit of trouble here. 2-2 the count. 1 on, nobody out. All right, Joe, the base stealers. Dykstra going to run here?
Well, you know, I don't know if he's going to. I think the situation is right for him to run. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
He's not. That's down the left field line, a base hit. Into the corner, being dug out by Plantier. Dykstra's being waved home as it gets past Plantier. Dykstra scores into third base is Thompson. 1-0 Philadelphia. And they score that a triple with a run batted in for Milt Thompson. 1-0 Phils.
Gets a little difficult to play that corner if you're not used to it, and obviously Plantier wasn't used to the carom down there. And by the time he gets it back in, Thompson has a triple and Dykstra has scored.
First triple of the year for Thompson. And let's face it, even if he'd come up with the ball in the corner, it's a double, and there are runners at second and third at the least. So here is John Kruk, K-R-U-K. He's hitting .345, and look at that on-base average. I mean, this guy goes up there, he's got a great cut, and he's very, very particular. He's walked 67 times. 7 homers, 20 doubles, 44 batted in. 103rd, nobody out. 2-0.
The thing I like about Kruk's swing, John, is he starts with his hands high, and he keeps them high. He doesn't drop his hands down low and try to get them back up. Not very much wasted motion once he starts into the pitch.
On the outside corner, 2 balls, 1 strike.
Just watch him. There's a lot of movement before the pitch. He waves his bat around, moves his body, but once he starts into the pitch, gets set to hit, very little movement.
Very odd-looking stance. 3-1. Well, there's not much relief in this part of the batting order. You see Jim Riggleman having to bite his lower lip with some of these young players, having to learn at the big league level. There's Dave Hollins on deck. But if you've been around 10 years, you're going to have trouble in this part of this batting order. And it's a walk. And now the big RBI men come up. Hollins and then Dalton. And Mike Rourke, the pitching coach, will go to the mound to visit with young Tim Worrell. Dave Hollins coming up. Now this guy spent time with the disabled list, and still he has 50 RBIs for the first half of the season. He's on a 100 RBI pace, even though he missed all of that time. And Joe, you talk about how hard these guys play. It's a hard-nosed ball club. Well, Dave Hollins had surgery on his hand. They said maybe 4 to 6 weeks. He missed 2 weeks and was back. I mean, this is a tough guy.
But he's still having a little problem with his right hand. In fact, he still has some stitches in it, but he says it's getting stronger each day. And he has to build up the strength back in it before he feels like he can drive the ball as he was before he went on the injured reserve list.
Baseball, Joe. That's
yeah,
you're on the football mode there.
Disabled list.
Disabled list, the DL, yeah.
You're right.
Hollins has hit .342 for the year with men in scoring position. I know it's all these tough guys in the field. You're thinking football now.
You're right.
That's a ball to Dave Hollins. I mean, guys were stitching.
Well, you know why?
They're playing.
Well, you know why? Because you know I'm a big Raider fan, and the Phillies kind of remind me of the Raiders. They're the Raiders of the Major League Baseball.
I hear Al Davis wants Darren Dalton to play linebacker for him. There's Crooked Furs with Thompson at third. Nobody out. A run is in. A strike to Hollins. Well, Mike Schmidt was maybe the greatest third baseman of all time, certainly here in Philadelphia. That's the way they feel. But Dave Hollins has come along. Here's the retired number of Schmidt. And Hollins has shown signs he's going to be a big run producer, too. He drove in 93 runs last year with 27 homers. His first full year in the big leagues, and now he's on his way to 100 RBIs this year.
Smart pitching by Worrell. He is staying in tight on Hollins because, you know, if you've got a sore hand, you've got problems with your hand, you do not want the ball inside. You want it out over the plate where you can extend on it. You do not want to get jammed.
Strike 3 call.
Well, obviously he couldn't pick the ball up well from Worrell because he took all 3 pitches. The first 2 were good, tight fastballs and a slider on the inside part of the plate. This one is in the middle of the plate. It started on the inside and moved back over the middle of the plate. Good movement on the fastball from Worrell.
Darren Daulton now. And maybe the best catcher in the game now. Certainly when you consider the whole package. Look at those RBIs. That's second in the National League. Only Matt Williams of the Giants has driven in more than Darren Daulton. Strike, another nice pitch, knee high on the outside.
But not even the location was great, but a lot of movement on that ball, John. A lot of movement. Fastball started toward the middle and just jumped to the outside.
Again, running it away from him, but missing this time. 1 ball and 1 strike. Chance for the Phillies to break open with a big early lead. They have 1 run home. You see Daulton now with runners at first and third trying to extend that advantage. The infield double play depth. He reached for that one, keeping everything away from Daulton, and the count 1 ball, 2 strikes. Daulton is one of those guys in a long list of guys. Doesn't hit for a particularly strong batting average, but you put runners on base and he finds a way to get them home.
I think part of that is because he's a catcher and he wears down a little bit mentally over the course of the season. But he has a much quicker bat than Hollins, so I don't think they're going to want to go inside on Daulton.
Got a piece of it, fouling it back. Well, you know, talking about wearing a guy down, in the first half of this season, he has started 74 of the 81 games.
Right.
And he's been in 76 of them. You wonder how long he can keep that pace up. Not many catchers in baseball history have caught 150 games during the course of a season. That sinker misses. Milt Thompson, after his triple, still over at third base, now with 1 away. And John Kruk, who walked at first, Fred McGriff on the bag with him. 1 out, 2 on, 1 in. A 2-ball, 2-strike count, and Tim Worrell gonna make something good happen. Full count. 3-2. Wes Chamberlain, a right-handed hitter, is on deck. There he is. Shortstop Gutierrez pulled over toward the middle a bit. Second baseman Gardner straight up. Runner from first going. Kruk, and the ball is lofted foul and went out of play off the left field line. Still 3-2 to Darren Daulton. Daulton, another guy who walks a lot. The Phillies, as a team, just get a lot of walks. Guys like Kruk and Daulton, Dykstra, Hollins, very patient up there. This is the 27th pitch thrown by Worrell, or it will be when he throws it. He made that little double fake there. Nobody was fooled.
I don't like that play. I still don't think they should outlaw that play, John. That's not trying to deceive the runner. I don't know what is.
Kruk goes. And McGriff.
Good play by McGriff.
Makes Thompson go back to third and then gets the out at first as Kruk takes second.
That was a very good play by McGriff. He charged the ball. He was going to come home. He made Thompson stop at third, and then he just took the out at first base. And remember, Kruk is running, so there's no chance to get the double play. Now he charges the ball to take the runner at home if he comes. He stops him, runs him back to third base. Now he takes Daulton at first base.
Now Wes Chamberlain, just back from the disabled list today. That's a strike, a slider on the outside. And if you're a few complaints from that Phillies dugout on that one. Wes Chamberlain hitting .267, 7 home runs, and 20 runs batted in. 1-0 for the Phils. Remember, the Phillies have lost 7 of their last 10. Howard had passed him. So quickly, Chamberlain is behind in the count. No balls, 2 strikes.
2 very different pitches there. The first pitch was a sinker on the outside corner. This was a riding fastball, middle of the plate, in and up.
Chamberlain has not been one of the Phillies who's done well in this situation. Right now he's got a runner at third and a runner at second. In these kind of RBI opportunity situations, his average for the year, he's hitting .179. Jammed him and too far inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. There's Mel Roberts, the Phillies first base coach. And Larry Boa is coaching over at third. 1-0 the Phillies. Base hit could make it 3-0. Kruk at second, Thompson at third. Again, up and in. 2-2. Morel driving Chamberlain back. Chamberlain had a little hamstring pull in his left hamstring. Went on the disabled list retroactive to June 16th. And just getting back in the lineup today, July the 4th. Mariano Duncan went on the disabled list after the marathon doubleheader here Friday. Morandini on deck. 2 down, the pitch. Little tap. Morel will handle it himself. And that is the inning. And the Phillies only get 1. 1-0 Phillies after 1. There's the view from the Blockbuster Video blimp high above Veterans Stadium here in Philadelphia. Friday night, they played a twilight doubleheader here. The second game ended at 20 minutes before 5 Saturday morning. 12 hours and 5 minutes after game 1 was supposed to have started. They had nearly 6 hours of rain delays in game 1. Here is Kevin Higgins, the catcher. And he takes ball 1 from Ben Rivera. 1-0, the Phillies out in front. We're in the second inning here. Sanfranco will follow, and then Tim Morel due up third. This is the last third of the batting order for the Padres. The first game was won by the Padres here Friday night. For all of those rain delays, the game ended at about 3 minutes after 1. And then at 1:28 a.m. they started game 2, which, as far as anybody can tell, was the latest starting time for any game in the history of Major League Baseball. And it ended at 4:40 a.m. the latest finish for a game in Major League history.
John, I would hope that that's accurate on both counts. I would hope that's the latest that they'd ever started a game and the latest that they'd ever finished.
The previous record for latest finish was on this date, Joe, 4th of July, 8 years ago. That's a ball inside to Higgins. 3-2. The Mets and the Braves played a rather memorable ball game that went 19 innings and had rain delays, and the Mets won it 16-13 in 19 innings. That is strike 3. Higgins is gone. But what a long night. The Phillies came back to win it on a single by Mitch Williams in game 2. We talked to John Kruk about that marathon.
Oh, man. That's almost impossible to explain because we've never done it before, I don't think. But what 4:41 Mitch got to hit the winning game. Now that's a little long. I mean, I like coming to the ballpark, but my God, enough's enough.
That's a little bit long. Actually, for the record, it ended at 4:40 a.m. John Kruk was there for it all. Archie Sanfranco is the hitter, former Montreal Expo, and he's playing third base now. Gary Sheffield has been traded away. Sanfranco is hitting only 136, 6 hits in 44 at-bats. We're in the top of the second, 1-0. The Phillies are leading here. Sanfranco takes strike 2. That ball game back in '85 ended at 5 minutes to 4 in Atlanta. It was just a single game, but it went 19 innings. 16-13, the Mets won that game. And afterward, they shot off fireworks in Atlanta. Strike 3. Sanfranco is down. down. Well, we're mentioning fireworks, and tomorrow our official legal holiday doubleheader, the 5th of July, doubleheader on ESPN. It'll be the Pirates and the Big Red Machine at 2 p.m. The Reds got hot this week, and Kevin Mitchell hitting around 370. Then the White Sox and the Blue Jays. Joe and I will be there, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific from the Sky Dome. That'll be tomorrow night. We'll see Big Frank Thomas of the White Sox, and we'll see the 400 hitter John Olerud of the Blue Jays from the Sky Dome tomorrow. Now to play by Worrell. 0-2 the count. 2 down and nobody on. Joe, that game in Atlanta, that 19-inning game, pitchers kept hitting home runs to tie it up late in the ball game. Well, Worrell is gone. Strikes out the side. And Len Dykstra played in that game 8 years ago, as well as this doubleheader Friday. Philadelphia, they're calling it America's greatest and largest birthday party for the 4th of July holiday. It's an 11-day series of events called Welcome America. President Bill Clinton here today. Vice President Al Gore, nationally recognized music acts, all here for part of the celebration. It began Friday, June 25th, and will go through tomorrow, July the 5th. Also part of the grand opening of the Pennsylvania Convention Center here. Today, F.W. de Klerk and Nelson Mandela were presented the Philadelphia Liberty Medal by President Bill Clinton here. And it's been quite a celebration going on in Philadelphia every day. Just a big party. The bunt by Morandini. A hit for Morandini.
It's almost a perfect bunt by Morandini. And watch, he disguises it well. He doesn't turn around too quickly. Ball's on its way, and he just dumps it down the third baseline. No chance for the ball to roll foul. And no chance for Cianfranco to make the play.
Now Kim Batiste. He's hitting .281, 4 homers, 21 runs batted in. He's at shortstop. Mariano Duncan had sort of taken over at short for a while, but now he is on the disabled list. With all of the rain here in the first game of the doubleheader Friday, nearly 6 hours of rain delays. The 4:35 game starting time, and the game did not end until after 1 o'clock in the morning. But sure enough, in the 9th inning of the second game, Duncan went into the game as a runner and pulled a hamstring. That is a called strike. The field was a little bit sloppy. 0-1 the count to Batiste. So Batiste back at shortstop. And Joe, that's been kind of the weak spot for the Phillies. That shortstop's been a problem all year long.
Well, John, of the first 51 errors made by the Phillies, 22 were made at shortstop. So that tells you how difficult a position it has been for the Phillies to fill this year. And a lot of talk around baseball that they were going to trade for, some players. Al Weiss.
Yeah, Walt Weiss.
Walt Weiss from
the Marlins.
Marlins.
Yeah, Al Weiss is in his 50s.
No, I just left the Mets.
The runner goes, and the ball is hit foul on the right field line. McGriff gives chase, but it's in amongst the spectators. 0-2 the count. Morandini every once in a while will steal. He's stolen 9 times this year and been caught only once. The Phillies have kind of a nice balance in their club. They've got some power, they've got some speed, got some 300 hitters. But shortstop, that's been another story. Ben Rivera on deck. Phillies lead 1-0, last of the second. And that's out of play. We'd like to thank the Blockbuster Video Blimp for providing ESPN Sunday Night Baseball with these beautiful aerial views of Veterans Stadium for our telecast tonight. Part of the 4th of July festivities here in the city of brotherly love. Cianfranco's going to have to hurry. Not in time.
Well, Sinfrocco probably thinks they're picking on him because Gary Sheffield's not down there. Another very difficult play. He's playing off the line because Batista's not a pull hitter. Now he charges it, and on the AstroTurf with the high bounces, by the time that he gets it and throws to first base, not in time. Runners at first and second now with 2 infield hits.
Now, Ben Rivera has only 2 hits in 23 at-bats. However, he leads all National League pitchers with his 10 sacrifice bunts.
And a lot of people say that it's very difficult to bunt on AstroTurf. But if you bunt properly, as we saw from Morandini, then you can get the job done. So it's obvious that Rivera has worked on his bunting.
Now, Rivera and Boa talked that over. I mean, what's Boa telling him there? Hey, Ben, bunt.
He wants to make sure that he has the signs correct.
Hey, he bunted. Only plays to first. Higgins to Gardner covering. Morandini moves to third base. Batiste moves to second base. And Dykstra is coming up.
A lot of people say that bunting is a lost art, but we're seeing good bunting here by the Phillies. Now watch, we will keep the barrel of the bat above the ball right there and just play catch. Nice job by Rivera. Just bends it enough. See, that would not be a good bunt on natural turf because it wouldn't roll that far away from home plate and the catcher would have a chance to go to second base. But he knows how to bunt on AstroTurf. AstroTurf, you bunt it slowly, and it will roll for you.
So here's Dykstra. He singled to start the game and then scored the run for the Phillies. Now he's trying to be an RBI man. Dykstra has not hit well in RBI situations.
Well, he only has 21 runs batted in. That tells you that he has not been getting the job done with men in scoring position.
Look at this. He's hit only 164 in these kinds of situations, even though for the 3 years prior to this, he was the best. An excellent clutch hitter. Down to third, but sliding safely back is Morandini ahead of Sinfrocco's tag.
That was an excellent play. Good timing by Higgins and Sinfrocco. Throw is a little high. So with a left-handed hitter up there, you have a clear shot at third. Sinfrocco should have been over there a little quicker. They may have had a chance. I think the fact that he was a little late made Higgins throw a little too far to the inside.
The infield staying back, except for Sinfrocco, who's pulling a little bit over at third base. So Dykstra could get a run home just by hitting a ground ball to the right side here. There you see it. 1-0 Phillies, 1 out. And it's a strike, 2-1. Joe, when you're a hitter and you're not hitting well in these spots, you start reading about it in the paper, you hear it on the talk shows, it's on the telecast. Does it start to play in your mind a little bit?
Well, I think even before you hear about it on the talk shows, you know that you're not getting the job done in these types of situations. I think what you have to do is really concentrate harder on your fundamentals, and that is to try to hit the ball back through the middle and hit it hard.
2-2 now to Dykstra.
When you have runners in scoring position, the middle of the diamond is your best bet because there are more holes up the middle of the diamond than there are any place else on the ball field. You see the middle of the diamond is clear, plus in the alleys, left center and right center. When you're aiming through the middle, if you're a little late, you hit it into left center. If you're a little early, you hit it into right center. And those are the biggest gaps on the ball field. That and back through the middle of the box.
Down the right field line, that's a base hit, and he'll get them both home. Morandini scores. Here comes Batiste. 3-1 Phillies, and the throw gets away at second. Dykstra will take second.
Worrell got the ball up and in on Dykstra, and he pulled it down the right field line. You see the catcher set up in and down, but he gets it up, and Dykstra lines it to right field. Now the ball gets away, and he goes down to second base easily.
Now this is Milt Thompson. Ball 1.
Higgins wanted that ball down and in, well, about belt high and in, and he got the ball up. And Dykstra is a good high fastball hitter.
Thompson tripled into the left field corner his first time. Runner at second. One out, and there is ball two. Another lefty, John Kruk, is on deck. That'll be a single, by the way, and the error allowing Dykstra to go to second base is charged to Gutierrez, the shortstop. Let the throw get away from him. A strike, 2-1. Well, Dykstra picks up the big clutch hit. His 22nd and 23rd RBIs of the year. And of course, this is the first game of the second half of the season for the Phillies. Sharply hit there to Gardner. And Thompson is thrown out as Dykstra takes third. There's a pretty good crowd tonight. They've got the huge fireworks extravaganza downtown Philadelphia. Of course, thousands and thousands of people will be down there. We may have 30,000 or so here at the Vet tonight. No fireworks here after the ball game. John Kruk, he walked his first time. Gardner over to get it. And that ends the inning. So the Phillies get two on the Dykstra single. Top of the order coming. Wynn due up third, 3-0 Phillies. ESPN's presentation of Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you, friends know when to say when. That's the river taxi and the new aquarium across the river from downtown Philadelphia. That's the Delaware River, separating Camden, New Jersey and Philly. That's the New Jersey State Aquarium over in Camden. The river taxi goes every 15 minutes, connecting, in effect, the two cities. Aquarium opened last year, and more than 1 million have already visited. It's the second largest open ocean tank in the country. For the attractions here in Philadelphia. Jeff Gardner grounded to second his first time. He's the leadoff man for the Padres. And he takes a strike from Ben Rivera. Well, the Phillies have staked Big Ben to a 3-run lead here. He got out of a bases-loaded jam in the first. And the Phillies got one for him in the first and two in the second. 1 ball, 2 strikes now to Gardner. Gutierrez will follow. And then Gwynn is due up third. McGriff would be due up fourth. And somebody to get on base. By the way, Gutierrez got charged with that error. We have an interesting isolation on a replay that may shed some light as to how that error occurred. And let's take a look at it and let's see what you think. Who should have been called with the error on this throw by Tony Gwynn to second base?
Well, Tony Gwynn is a Gold Glover, so they usually give him the benefit of the doubt. We see the throw coming in. Now watch what happens here. Well, actually, I think they made a correct call, because if anything, he should have blocked it. The ball hit on the AstroTurf right at the corner and skidded towards him, but he was standing straight up. I think he should have blocked it.
So here is Gutierrez, who got charged with the error. Ben Rivera now has struck out each of the last 4 San Diego hitters. Gutierrez walked his first time. 2-0 the count this time.
And Big Ben seems to be getting loose now, John. He's throwing a little harder now than he was at the beginning of the ball game.
Joe, do you realize that something we hadn't even considered actually happened here yesterday? 3 games
in one day
had their conclusions on the same day, July the 3rd.
Ernie Banks would have loved that.
Let's play 3. And let's start one of them at 1:30 in the morning.
I don't know if Ernie would have liked that.
Yeah, they didn't have the opportunity to do that very often at Wrigley Field in those days. 3-2 to Gutierrez at Veterans Stadium. So that first game Friday night ended at Saturday morning at 1:03. The second game ended at 4:40 Saturday morning. Then later Saturday evening they played another ball game. So the Phillies lost twice and won once the same date, July the 3rd. There was a triple header actually played one time in baseball around 1920. Because of some rainouts, and I don't remember the teams, but they played 3 in one day. And then after they did that, they said, you know, that's not a very good idea. Let's never do it again. Here's Tony Gwynn. Gutierrez at first with the walk. 3 walks by Rivera, 4 strikeouts, 1 out, 1 on in the 3rd inning.
You know,
3-0, the Phillies ahead.
Sorry, John. You know, Tony Gwynn is an unusual hitter in that he uses a very short bat, 32 inches, 30 ounces, 31, 30 ounces, right in that area.
He whacks this one deep into left center field. Off the wall. Gutierrez held at 3rd. And a stand-up double for Tony Gwynn. And now McGriff is coming up.
Tony uses a short and light bat because he feels he can wait longer, and he goes the other way with this pitch, and he drives it over the head of Milt Thompson. It's off the wall. Thompson actually throws to second. I don't know why. He should have thrown to the cutoff man, the shortstop, because it had no chance of getting Tony Gwynn, and that way you hold the runner at 3rd in case he tries to score.
Now, you've got a left-handed hitter with some power, Plantier, behind McGriff. But, hey, he's no Fred McGriff.
That's
now,
true.
McGriff is hot. He's 7 for 12 in this series, 2 homers. He's worn the Phillies out here. Do you try and pitch around him here?
I think you pitch to him in this situation because you're 3 runs up. If it was a tie ball game, I would say no.
Right. So the worst he could do here is tie you.
Tie the game. And I think it's a little early in the game to be walking people for strategic reasons.
Jim Fregosi, the strain of managing. Fregosi is chewing tobacco, and he says sometimes he chews and smokes at the same time. He only chews and he only smokes during the season. Is that stress or what? He said the minute the season's over, he goes home and goes cold turkey. Doesn't have a single cigarette the rest of the winter.
Well, a lot of guys have managing in their blood, John.
Jim Fregosi. And he's chewing a little harder right now with runners at 2nd and 3rd and McGriff up. Ooh, challenged him, and McGriff didn't get it.
I think that was Big Ben's pitch there. That wasn't really a challenge. He says, I'm going to throw this one right by you. 93, 94 mile an hour fastball. I mean, this pitch is just right by McGriff. And if you get the ball up on him, you got a better chance anyway.
Locked him up. Hollins coming over along with Dalton. But it's into the 1st row. No play. Now, McGriff, he's got 18 homers. He's got 42 RBIs, but like most of the Padres, he has not done well in these kind of RBI situations. See that 11 of his 18 homers have been solo. That's not so bad, but just with men in scoring position, runners at 2nd or 3rd or both, he has hit only 200 this year, well below average.
I think the hitting with runners in scoring position, you go through cycles year after year. I don't think you ever have 5 straight great years. Even though you may have a guy driving 100 runs 5 straight years, he will not do as well because you're only talking about 50, 60 at-bats at a time, you know, through a spell there when you have runners in scoring position.
Runners at 2nd and 3rd. 1 out. 3-0 Phillies. That one is hit deep into right field. Playable. And caught by Chamberlain. That'll get a run home. Tell you what, the way that sounded off the bat didn't sound like he hit it all that well, and he gave it a long ride.
No, he was jammed only because Rivera is throwing 90 miles an hour plus that he was able to get in on McGriff. He broke his bat, and this ball's on the inside part of the plate. See, it jams him, and McGriff hits it. He sees it's carrying well. He's just hoping that it'll get out of here, but he knew that he didn't hit it as well as he would like.
43rd RBI from McGriff. Gwynn also moved up in the play. He's now at 3rd base. 2 down, and here is Phil Plantier. And he takes a strike. We're talking about Fred McGriff. This is his 3rd year with San Diego. Last year, McGriff, 35 homers, 104 RBIs. The year before, 31 homers, 106 RBIs. Plantier to Batiste at short. A little bit wide with the throw, but Kruk hauled it in. The inning is over. 3-1 Phillies. Hollins and Dalton coming up.
ESPN
Sunday night baseball from Philadelphia. The Phillies 3, the Padres 1. We go to the last of the third inning. Dave Hollins, Darren Daulton, and Wes Chamberlain coming up against Tim Worrell. Today, the St. Louis Cardinals were beaten again by Houston, 9-4. Astros at the Astrodome. Draybeck all the way with a win over Rocha. Taubensee had 2 home runs. So the Phillies with a win would pull 7 games up over the Cardinals. And that little breaking ball in there for a strike. The Giants today defeated the Mets in a slugfest, 10-8 at Shea Stadium. But the Braves also won. The Braves defeated the Florida Marlins 4-3 in Atlanta. And it's a base hit for Dave Hollins. Found a hole.
I mentioned that Hollins did not want the ball inside. He likes the ball out over the plate. This pitch is out over the plate. You can see he just takes it and drives it through the hole on the left side. First time up he didn't swing because Worrell kept firing him up inside with a good fastball.
Here's Darren Daulton. He grounded out his first time. Strike 1 from Worrell. 3-1 the Phillies lead, last of the third. Darren Daulton playing almost every day in the first half of the season. First 13 weeks of the season, only 7 games did he not start. So you know full well that can take a toll on anybody. You saw maybe the best ever, Johnny Bench, and it took a toll on him.
Yeah. I was last year, Daulton and I we were talking one day, and he said that he was tired, and I said, well, you know, just wait till All-Star break and you'll usually get a second win, you know, the second half of the season. That usually takes place, you know, sometimes after the middle of July if you're an everyday player. But he was tired and physically drained, he said, and he did get his second win, and he ended up with a, you know, very good season. But catching takes its toll on you. You have to remember, it's very humid around here. Philadelphia is a very humid place in the summertime.
It was in the 90s here today, and very humid. The air was very heavy. It is 2-2 to Daulton. Well, Daulton, nonetheless, they just can't afford to take his bat out of the lineup. I mean, he has 62 RBIs. The last time the Phillies had a man with over 60 RBIs before the All-Star break, a fellow by the name of Michael Jack Schmidt did it. Center fielder Bell, and that is out number 1. Hollins back to first. Let's go to Tom Mees.
All right, John Budweiser takes us to the Oakland Coliseum. Danny Tartabull with a runner on against Ron Darling. Oh, did he get all of that? He stands and admires his 12th home run of the season. The Yankees need to win badly in this series with the A's to try and pick up ground in the East. They lead at 2-0 in the first, John.
All right, Tom. We've got a few ball games going in Toronto at Kansas City. You've got Cleveland at California. Up in Seattle, they got that one going. Boston and the Mariners. So we've got a few ball games we'll try and keep track of for you. Hard slider for ball 1 to Wes Chamberlain. He dribbled back to the pitcher, Worrell, who tagged him out.
So far, John, I like what I've seen of Worrell. He has good stuff. I think he just needs a little more experience to learn. He needs one pitch to take a little speed off the ball. Everything is hard. But it's real hard.
Yeah.
It's got a good fastball, good slider, but I think he needs one more pitch, you know, a change-up, something to that's an in-between pitch. But I mean, again, you know, that's something that I think he will develop. But I also think he's pitching under difficult circumstances because he has a young catcher and a young team behind him. No one can really help him a lot while he's on the mound.
It was a close one. 2 balls and a strike to Wes Chamberlain. 1 out. Hollins at first in the third. Tim Worrell went to Biola University in La Mirada, California. That's Southern California. Of course, his brother Todd is now with the Los Angeles Dodgers after many years with the Cardinals. Chamberlain went up after that one. 2-2 the count. Tim Worrell has only pitched professionally since 1990. and has always been used as a starter in the Padres farm system. Never really had extraordinary success anywhere along the way. He's pitched in Charleston, Waterloo. Here's a real exotic one, Joe. They have a farm team in a place called High Desert.
High Desert what?
Just High Desert. You don't know where High Desert is? Of course, now there's a team in a place called Rancho Cucamonga.
Well, I know where that is.
You do?
That's in California, Southern California.
Well, where do you think High Desert is?
Oh, okay.
I mean, High Desert, Joe. Think of it. It's not in
Arizona.
It's not in Minnesota. We're not talking maritime provinces here. 3-2 to Chamberlain. Well, Reynolds really been moving him off the plate here these first two at bats.
Well, Chamberlain kind of dives into the ball, so he dives toward the plate, and Worrell's ball runs in on a right-hander. He's gone through a lot of gyrations there trying to keep from getting hit both at bats here.
There goes the runner, and Chamberlain fouls it back. So Hollins will have to go back to first with 1 out. 3 balls, 2 strikes. The count to Chamberlain.
And watch Chamberlain stride, and watch he dives right into the ball. Watch his front foot. His body, well, that's a pitch away, so he's reaching for that one. He was trying to go the other way on a hit and run.
Runner goes. Gutierrez only plays over to McGriff. So Chamberlain retired. 2 down with Hollins now at second. Coming up Wednesday night, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific, the Atlanta Braves. Dave Justice and company versus the St. Louis Cardinals. A couple of red-hot ball clubs. The Braves had won 7 of their last 9, and of course the Cardinals have been hot for a while. Ozzie Smith and Greg Jeffries, Bernard Gilkey, the Cardinals and the Braves on ESPN Wednesday night baseball, 8:30, 5:30 Pacific. Here's Mickey Morandini now. He had a bunt single and started a 2-run rally with it, and he fouls one away.
Morandini's kind of a lost breed too, John. If you take a look at his bat, he uses a U1. That's one of the old model bats, and he chokes up on it. Most players today use thin handle bats, swing them from the end, and try to pull the ball. See how much he's choking up on the bat? Thicker handle bat, slaps the ball around.
Like Nellie Fox used to use one like
Nellie
that?
Fox, Jackie Robinson.
Used to call that the bottleneck.
Yeah, his not quite that big, but it's very similar.
You mean his isn't as big as Nellie Fox's one?
No, Nellie Fox's handle was a little bigger. That's the kind of bat I used, the Nellie Fox, Jackie Robinson bat when I first started.
That's before you started hitting 25 home runs and winning MVP.
Well, actually, what happened was Eddie Casco, who was with the Boston Red Sox now, was one of my teammates, and he told me to try a thin handle bat one day, and I never went back.
Well, what happened? Did you crush one? Did you hit a big fly that day?
I hit a big fly in the Astrodome.
Ooh. Never look back, eh? Get those bottleneck bats out of my sight. 2-2 the count to Morandini. He went just the opposite. He was, as you said, but he kept hitting fly balls to the warning track, and Jim Fregosi finally went to him and says, listen, you're never going to play for me again. You keep doing that.
I think a lot of players should be using a thicker handle bat, choking up and slapping the ball around. I think you need to leave the big flies to the Cecil Fielders and guys like that. I think if you're a second baseman or a guy that's hitting in the top of the order supposed to get on base, I think you should be using a little thicker handle bat and hitting line drives rather than trying to pull the ball.
Hey, Cecil hit one that hit the roof in left center the other night. 484 feet, they said.
And you're telling me the ball's not juiced?
The fielder does that every year.
But not as many times.
Oh, no, that's the only time he's done it this year.
We hit one off the facing a couple of weeks ago. Missed by a foot.
He didn't clear the roof. He cleared it a couple years ago.
Yeah, but he had one on the roof the other night, and he hit one off the facing earlier this year.
Yeah. Well, that's nothing new for Seth. You don't think he can do that without a juice ball?
Okay. But what about these other guys? Some of the other players.
Hey, nobody else has done it. Kim Batiste. In the history of Tiger Stadium, you know how many guys have cleared that wall in left field? Cecil Fielder is the only Tiger ever to do it, and 2 other guys did it. Must have maybe the ball was juiced when they did it. But
Probably was.
It was Frank Howard and Harmon Killebrew with the other guys.
I don't think they needed it to be juiced either.
I don't think Cecil needs it to be juiced either. That would be what I'd like to see, that home run derby the night before the All-Star game with Frank Howard and Harmon Killebrew and Cecil Field are the contestants. And you with your thin-handled bat.
Oh, yeah.
Batiste got an infield single his first time. 2-1 the count. 3-1 the score. 2 on, 2 out here in the third inning.
I would fit very well in that group, wouldn't I?
Oh, yeah. See what kind of confidence I have in you? 3-1 Phillies. They have 6 hits already in this game.
Base hit. Hit number 7.
Here comes Hollins rounding third. Here comes a throw from Plantier. Not in time. Phillies.
Worrell has been hurt most with the ball that's up in this ball game. This one is down, and Batiste lines it in the left field for a base hit. Coming around is Morandini. That's Hollins scoring from second base. Morandini moves up to second.
Since we're, let's see, a guy like Paul O'Neill make a throw. See what would have happened. Here's Ben Rivera. He got the sacrifice down his first time. There is Mike Rourke on the phone. Mike is on the phone actually to us, telling us where High Desert is located. That's a strike to Rivera. And by the way, High Desert, Joe, is in Victorville, California. The Florida Marlins now have a Class A ball club there. The Padres are now in Rancho Cucamonga. Padres used to have a Class A team in Walla Walla. Anyway, they really picked the exotic locations for their Class A ball clubs. Tony Gwynn, when he played Class A, played in Walla Walla. John Kruk also played in Walla Walla. So they'll take anybody in Walla Walla. 2-2 the count. Said John Kruk the other day, said to Tony Gwynn, says, hey, as long as they're trading everybody, I'd like to see us get you. And Gwynn said, no, I'm too normal for your team. Gardner to Gutierrez for the force out on Batiste. That's the inning. 4-1 Phillies now at the end of 3. 4th of July, Independence Day to you. And wait a minute. Joe, we got somebody working in the booth here. Looks like he's cleaning the windows out there. Oh, thank you very much.
The Philly fanatic.
Yeah. Oh, my God. The fanatic. Well, he gave me a nice sheen, I feel, Joe, but on the other hand now, we've both been infected with fanatic germs. Padres coming up now. We're in the 4th inning. Derek Bell. So when you come to Philadelphia, there's, you know, Dykstra and Kruk and all of those guys. And then there's the fanatic besides that. Derek Bell hits a high foul off the right field line. The Philly fanatic, that's actually a fellow by the name of Dave Raymond. And sure, he's a very entertaining fellow. He does that, puts that big costume on, and he's a master of mime, and gets a lot of well-earned laughs. Ben Rivera misses. Count 1 ball, 1 strike to Derek Bell. 4th inning, 4-1. The Phillies lead the game now. Two and 1 the count. Dodgers won over Montreal today. 1-0 in Montreal. The game went 11 innings. Big win for the Dodgers because they almost never win at Olympic Stadium. Batiste. And there is one away.
John, you know, a lot of writers have tried to describe the personalities on the Phillies teams, but, you know, it really doesn't matter what we think. It's only matters what they think of themselves. And let me give you some quotes. John Kruk says, you know, we're not bad people, but you wouldn't want to invite us over for dinner. Lenny Dykstra says, you know, I wouldn't call it an animal house in our clubhouse. He said, but there are a few people in our clubhouse who are a little off balance. And the best, I think, is Larry Anderson. Larry Anderson says, we're a bunch of gypsies, tramps, and thieves. So that's how they describe themselves. Kind of interesting, huh?
Yeah. Well, that's why Tony Gwynn says he's too normal for this club. And the Phillies, the gypsies, tramps, and thieves, and they wear that badge proudly.
Right.
They like to be known as a throwback to the old gas house gang of the 30s. Pepper Martin, Ducky Medwick, Dizzy Dean. Like Dizzy and his brother Daffy. They played hard.
Years ago, they had the Whiz kids here.
1950.
Yeah, and in 1983, when I played here, they called us the Wheeze kids. W-H-E-E-Z-E.
Well, because they had a bunch of old guys like you.
I wasn't old. That was Pete Rose and Tony Perez. They were old.
Oh, you weren't old in 83?
No, they were old.
Oh.
I was still young.
Oh, yeah, what were you? Late 30s? You don't have to say. We can all look it up in our baseball encyclopedia. Arky Sinfraco, the hitter. He struck out looking his first time. Ben Rivera, the pitcher. Rivera has now walked 4 Padres. 4-1, though. He's out in front. He's given up only 2 hits. He took a lot of scouts around baseball who are astounded that Ben Rivera has turned into a very fine pitcher. Just a lot of scouts felt that he was never going to do that he was a guy just wild and he just would never be able to harness that stuff. But Johnny Padres, former Dodger, Phillies pitching coach, along with manager Jim Fregoso, they've taken a few guys like that everybody thought were lost causes and have turned them into very fine pitchers. Tommy Green, foul tip, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
John, I'd always said if I would have ever, you know, been a manager, I would have hired a former Dodger pitcher to be my pitching coach. Because I think over the course of the years I played in the major leagues, I think the Dodgers always had the most well-rounded pitching staff of any ball clubs that I've ever been around. And one thing I like is they teach the changeup, which he has done for Ben Rivera.
One ball, 2 strikes to Arky Sinfraco. The pitcher, Tim Worrell, is on deck. 1 out, Higgins at first. And it goes to 2-2.
For those of you who didn't get to see Johnny Padres pitch, he had one of the greatest changeups in the history of baseball.
Johnny Padres will forever live in Dodgers lore. He was the pitcher who won the clinching game when the Dodgers finally won their first World Series, 1955. And Johnny Padres was very young at that time, and still he took the ball and went out and got it done to beat the mighty Yankees. Dodgers had all those great clubs, late 40s into the 50s in Brooklyn, but they could never win the World Series, and then finally in 55 they did it. Johnny Padres, this guy does not, I don't think, have any enemies in baseball. Down the third base line, Collins, nice pickup. Morandini for 1, back to first, not in time. Morandini taken out by Higgins, but not until he got rid of that throw.
Well, I think this was the case where Morandini should have taken 1 and gotten out of the way, because the only thing he could have done was thrown the ball away. But he was not going to be able to complete the double play. This is a real nice play by Hollins. Backhands it down the line, sets himself. Now he makes a good throw over to Morandini, but this is only supposed to be 1. As you see, Kevin Higgins comes in real hard and upsets him.
Especially now with Mariano Duncan on the disabled list. This is no time for the Phillies' regular second baseman to go down with an injury. Tim Worrell, but as you say also, I mean, he couldn't turn the double play, but he could have thrown that ball away. Worrell struck out his first time, and the count is 0-2. 2 down, runner at first. Sinfranco, the runner at first. 4-1. The Phillies lead the Padres in the 4th.
All right, son, let's get him right now.
Phillies will have the top of their batting order coming up in the last of this inning. Slider misses from Ben Rivera. Dykstra, Thompson, and Kruk will be coming up. In the dirt. 2-2.
John, I want to go back to that Rivera situation. You know, you would think that a guy that throws as hard as he does, and he doesn't throw a slider, he throws a curveball and a change. You would think that you would use your fastball a lot more because he throws so hard. And maybe that's one of the reasons he was more erratic in the minor leagues, because he tried to throw too many pitches for strikes. I think if you have a good fastball and a good curve, I think you can get away with those 2 pitches.
He's going to 3-2 now, and the pitcher. I mentioned Rivera, Tommy Green, guys who really came into their own coming here to Padres and Fregosi. Curt Schilling is another. Bounced around a little bit. Runner goes right to Morandini. And that's the inning. Worrell grounds out. Now he'll have to face that man, Dykstra, when we get back.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball with John Miller and Joe Morgan continues from the vet in Philadelphia.
And that is the look downtown at the fireworks extravaganza here in Philadelphia from the Blockbuster Video Blimp. Piloting the blimp tonight is Terry Dillard of Orlando, Florida. There's the Blockbuster Video Blimp. We are in Philadelphia. The Phillies 4 and the Padres 1, last of the 4th inning. Next Sunday night, we will go to New York. And we will see Tommy Lasorda's Los Angeles Dodgers. That'll be next Sunday, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. The Dodgers, after their miserable start this year, got hot for a while. Now they're just kind of sitting on the edge of contention with the red-hot Giants over in the West. The Dodgers come here to Philadelphia to start a series tomorrow. There's ball 1 to Len Dykstra. Dykstra has singled and scored, and he has completed a rally with a 2-run single. So he's done it all for the Phillies here tonight. He takes a strike in that sinker. 1 ball and 1 strike. Dykstra has lifted his average to 292. Milt Thompson and John Kruk will follow. And that one misses, ball 2. By the way, we mentioned the Mets will be in New York next week. Eddie Murray, veteran first baseman, has gotten hot since last we saw the Mets. Drove in 4 today against the Giants. Hit a home run. So Murray and Bonilla giving the Mets that 1-2 punch. Murray up to 49 RBIs. Bonilla's got 48. Vince Coleman stole his 36th base today, so we'll get a look at those guys next Sunday against the Dodgers, the final game before the All-Star break. 3-2 now to Dykstra. Here's Milt Thompson awaiting his turn on deck. And Tim Worrell trailing 4-1, trying to keep things in hand here against this explosive top part of the batting order. That's a foul out of play. Speaking of explosive batting orders, Joe, tomorrow night, part of our holiday doubleheader, you and I will be in Toronto. We'll get a look at the Blue Jays, who have the best first 5 in anybody's batting order. That's tomorrow night. Pirates and Reds at 2. White Sox and Blue Jays at 7:30. But Devon White, Roberto Alomar, and Paul Molitor, then Joe Carter and John Olerud. I mean, those guys are all hitting extremely well.
And I get a chance to touch a 400 hitter. Did he get any hits today? John Olerud?
Well, he's playing tonight in Kansas City. Olerud, he's kept that average up there, too.
Yes.
And so has Andres Galarraga here in the National League. Olerud starts tonight hitting .407. Galarraga had a couple of hits today. He's hitting .402. He went 2 for 4 and gained only 1 point in his batting average today. Ball 4 to Dykstra. Third walk allowed by Worrell. One way or the other, Dykstra just is always getting on base. 62nd time he's walked. Milt Thompson tripled him home in the first and grounded out in the second. In the Toronto club, Devon White is hitting over 300, hitting home runs, stealing bases. Roberto Alomar is looking like one of the best all-around players in the game, just as you've often said.
And I really think the Alomar trade is going to haunt the Padre organization for the next 10 or 15 years because he's that good a player.
Toronto on top of the American League East. Yanks 2 out, Detroit 4 out. Baltimore lost today, even though the record is 43-8. Wow. That's a lot better than I thought. That's actually 43-38. Tigers also lost today again. Tigers have lost 12 of their last 13. Blue Jays playing tonight in Kansas City. We're trailing 2-0 at last look.
You know, they talk about the jinx of Sports Illustrated. They had an article in Sports Illustrated about Sparky Anderson about a week ago.
Yeah.
I don't think the Tigers have won but 1 game since he was in there.
That's right.
It's a good article,
Very
though.
complimentary article.
It was very interesting. I enjoyed it.
Caught the man, I thought. There's a swinging strike.
And that's what an article is supposed to do, unlike some of the others I read.
Yeah. Well, some articles capture the essence of the writer's difficulties in interviewing the subject.
Yeah. Right.
But this article caught the essence of Sparky Anderson. Good reading. And back to the bag at first is Dykstra. Nobody out here in the 4th inning. And the Blue Jays monitor just like a new life for him. He's going to be a 100 RBI man now for the Blue Jays. You got him hitting third. Carter, great RBI man, and then Olerud. Ted Williams of his generation, it looks like. At least he's starting to make it look that way. You know, Olerud never had an at-bat in the minor leagues. 2-1 the count. That'll be tomorrow night at 7:30. 4:30 Pacific. And, of course, earlier, the Pirates and the Reds, a holiday doubleheader on ESPN. 2-1 to Milt Thompson. There goes Dykstra. Into shallow right center. Hurry. It's in there. Base hit. Tony Gwynn came hard. And Kruk, Hollins, and Dalton coming up. The big guns are coming. The table is set.
Well, Thompson makes a big swing on it, so I don't think they got a good jump on it, but it was hit into no man's land, shallow right center field. They were shading him around the left, so the gap was in right center, and the ball dropped in front of Tony Gwynn.
There's John Kruk. He has walked, and he has grounded out to second. 0 for 1. Bullpen activity for San Diego. And there's a Kerry Taylor, the right-hander, warming up. Kruk hits a high drive deep into left center field. Derek Bell back for the catch. Tagging at second is Dykstra. He'll go to third. Going back to first is Thompson. So with 1 out, and Hollins coming up. Let's go to Tom Mees.
All right, John, let's go to Seattle. Budweiser takes us to the Kingdome, where Big Chris Bosio has it working against Boston. Although the Red Sox lead this game 1-0. After this ground out, Bosio's gone through 6 without giving up a hit. He's walked 1, he struck out 3. He trails 1-0, but he has a no-hitter through 6. We'll keep you posted, John.
Bosio just getting back after serving a suspension. And, of course, that is on the tail end of being on the disabled list. Here's Dave Hollins. I think Hollins is 1 for 2.
I think Griffey Jr. will take care of that 1-0. He has been awfully hot lately.
Griffey's up to, what is it, 21 home runs now?
21 home runs, 317 batting average.
Griffey, let's see, 1 home run behind Fielder, leads the American League with 22. In fact, leads the major leagues with 22 home runs. There's a high drive into deep left field. Playable for Plantier. This will get Dykstra home. And it is 5-1 Philadelphia. Dave Hollins with his 51st RBI of the year. The walk, the single, and a couple of fly balls, and the Phillies have a run. And now Dalton is coming up. Darren Dalton is 0 for 2 in the game. Grounded to first and flying to center. Thompson runner at first, 2 down in the 4th inning. 5-1 Phillies. They've scored in every inning of the game against Tim Worrell. Sharp slider misses, ball 1. Now you mentioned Ken Griffey Jr. And another fellow out there for Seattle who's hitting the ball well is Jay Buhner, hitting over 300.
And he actually leads the Mariners in runs batted in. He's been making it possible for Griffey to get good pitches.
Buhner's got 55 RBIs, hitting 300. Griffey's hitting 317. He's got 21 homers, and now Basio's back. Got a no-hitter through 6. Yeah, I'm getting tired of Basio pitching no-hitters all the time. Brett McGriff over to Gutierrez at second. That's the inning. But another run for the Phillies. We go to the 5th inning, top of the order for the Padres. Gwynn due up 3rd.
Top of the 7th at the Kingdom as Budweiser takes us to Seattle. Chris Basio has a no-hitter to Mike Greenwell, and there goes your no-hitter. Greenwell, a solid line single to center. The Red Sox have a 1-0 lead, and they have a base runner to Philly, Joe Morgan and John Miller.
Sunday night baseball from Philadelphia. 5-1 the Phillies lead the Padres. This is John Miller along with Joe Morgan, your Sunday night telecasters, and this weekend your holiday baseball telecasters will be back with you tomorrow night from Toronto. See the White Sox with Frank Thomas and Robin Ventura, Tim Raines, and the Toronto Blue Jays, the first place team in the American League East. The White Sox, for that matter, are first in the West. 7:30, 4:30 Pacific. Second half of our holiday doubleheader tomorrow. Jeff Gardner, the hitter, 0 for 2. Kruk for the out. 5-1 the score here. The Phillies leading as we start the 5th inning. And just a few moments ago, this was the scene from the Art Museum here near downtown Philadelphia. The huge fireworks extravaganza. I think that was the grand finale, Joe. I love those grand finales.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope that was a grand finale.
Man.
Beautiful.
And that's the moon, the Independence Day moon over Philadelphia. I wonder if they had a similar such moon 217 years ago on July 4th, 1776. 1 strike to count to Gutierrez, and that is high. One ball, 1 strike to Gutierrez. He's walked twice in this game. He's hitting .285. Ben Rivera blew that one past him. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
When he gets the fastball up in the strike zone, I don't think there are many hitters that can handle his fastball up around the letters.
Two down. That brings up Tony Gwynn now. Gwynn and the Padres a little frustrated that their club has been dismantled. We talked to Tony Gwynn about that. Just
you know, it's easy to sit here and criticize everything that we're doing, but I don't know the ins and outs of it. I don't know the reasons why we're doing what we're doing. All I know is that we're doing it, and I try not to let it affect me when I go out on the baseball field. But that's just my approach. You know, there's other guys in our ball club who aren't happy right now with the direction that we're going. But like I said, I can't control it. They can't control it. So I just feel like we shouldn't worry about it. Just go out there and try to do the best job we can.
But he also says he does know that there are guys in the ball club who are upset with what's happening.
Well, it has to affect you, John. I mean, not knowing who's going to be your teammate from one day to the next.
And I know that, for instance, Gary Sheffield, before he got traded, he was a little upset that they were starting to dismantle the ball club. Jim Riggleman, the manager of the Padres. Gwynn, base hit, and he is 2 for 3. He blasted a double off the wall in left center his last time. Hit the ball hard 3 times. And that keeps the inning going for Fred McGriff to try and take a shot at the bleachers.
You know, John, whether we like it or not, you know, baseball will never be the same since, you know, free agency and arbitration has changed the way that people look at the players. I mean, now you do not look at the player and say, I'm going to make a trade just because of talent. Now you look at time of service and his salary before you even decide whether you're going to make a trade or not. And I think most things are becoming business decisions now rather than baseball decisions.
McGriff to Batiste. And that is the inning. So McGriff retired. So are the Padres. 5-1 for the Phillies halfway through it. Rather sad tonight. This has been a sad week in baseball. Last week, Roy Campanella, Hall of Famer, passing away. And then to everyone's shock and dismay, Hall of Famer Don Drysdale passing away. We learned of it last night.
Well, it's been very difficult for me, John, because I've known Don Drysdale since I first came to the major leagues. And I've had the opportunity to get close to Roy Campanella since I was inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I look forward to seeing him every year at Cooperstown. And, you know, I just had a conversation with Drysdale on Tuesday because we were preparing to play in his golf tournament this winter. So a shock, and I want to send my regards to his wife, Ann Myers.
That's a base hit for Wes Chamberlain. Don Drysdale not only was a great pitcher and a fierce competitor, but he was a teacher of the game. And he was a guy that taught not only young pitchers about the craft and the art of pitching, but young broadcasters such as myself. He always had a ready laugh, and although he was a great player and a fierce competitor, Joe, Don Drysdale was just a great gentleman. He was good company, fun guy to be with. And a lot of people are going to miss Big D, Don Drysdale, and I don't know how it's quite sunk in even yet that
no, it hasn't.
He's no longer with us.
And, you know, the O'Malley said that Roy Campanella was the greatest Dodger of them all. I think that quote kind of sums up the fact of how well he was loved by the Dodger organization.
Chamberlain at first, the batter Mickey Morandini. He's had a bunt single that started a rally, and he has walked. Dodgers come here to Philadelphia, and they say that they will have a brief moment in honor of Don Drysdale's memory before the game tomorrow night. Could be a double play here. It is 4-6-3. Gardner to Gutierrez to McGriff. 2 down, nobody on. 5-1, the Phillies lead. We're in the 5th inning. That will bring up Kim Batiste. Batiste is 2 for 2 in this game. He had an infield single in the second and scored a run. And then he drove home a run with a single in the third. 5 runs, 9 hits for the Phillies. Foul ball makes it 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 down, nobody on in the 5th. Worrell still around for the Padres, even though he's allowed a run in every inning. Giving up 1 in the first, 2 in the second, 1 in the third and 4th. And he's thrown 102 pitches now.
John, you were mentioning the fact that the game was over at 4:41 in the morning, second game of the doubleheader. I was down by the cage this morning, and Larry Boyer, one of the Philly coaches, says we knew we had them around 3 o'clock because we're up a lot of times at this hour, and the Padres are not.
That's the inning. Gutierrez throws out Batiste. Hey, 5th inning. It's early yet. 5-1 Phillies. Historic Fort Mifflin, the heroic defense of Fort Mifflin in the fall of 1777 found American patriots at a crucial point in the fight against the British. The American soldiers were able to hold off the British Army long enough to allow General Washington to get to Valley Forge and regroup for the winter. In the battle, 260 men died in the defense of Fort Mifflin. That's the Drum and Fife Corps, part of the Welcome America 11-day Happy Birthday America celebration, the largest, grandest celebration in the United States in honor of Independence Day, the 217th birthday of this nation. Phil Plantier, the hitter, against Ben Rivera. 2 balls, 1 strike to count. Just in the middle of everything here in Philly. I mean, they had the fireworks now. Downtown was a buzz today. The president was here along with Nelson Mandela. And I mean, tourists from everywhere crowding into downtown Philadelphia. Just exciting to walk out on the streets with all of the people going through all the historic areas. Strike 3.
Good change down. It's a 6th strikeout for Rivera. Good changeup he used. He threw a couple of fastballs to Plantier and then came back with a good changeup. Plantier way out in front. Good pitch. Slow curveball for strike 3.
Right through the legs of Dave Hollins, and Derek Bell will head for second. Thompson gets it in. Derek Bell hit that sharply, but it was very playable for Hollins.
Well, what happens is he was guarding against the ball hitting a seam. You know, it comes off the turf, and then it hits the dirt. Now watch, he doesn't get down on it and stay down. See, it hits the dirt, and he comes up too quick. And it goes down the left field line.
Error on Hollins, and that is his first error after going errorless for 25 games. Here is Kevin Higgins. Kevin Higgins, you know, when he comes up, I'm sure people all around the country say, well, who's this guy? Kevin Higgins. He's from Boise, Idaho. He is 26 years of age, been in the farm system for the Padres since 1989. He went to Arizona State University. He set school records for batting average, runs, and RBIs in high school. And in 1988 at Arizona State, he led the Pac-10 in hits and runs, and was all Pac-10, but not as a catcher, but rather at second base. First team All-American as a second baseman in 1989.
But John, they want to know what has he done lately.
Well, let's check that out, Joe. Lately, he's hitting .266 for the Padres. Had 80 at-bats, no homers, 6 RBIs. Kind of hits like a second baseman. Teams are always looking for a left-handed hitting catcher, though. Curveball. Ooh, where was that? It didn't look too bad. 3-1 the count. Archie Sinfraco is on deck. 5-1 the Phillies lead. We're in the 6th inning. Ben Rivera has given up only 3 hits in this game. Right to Batiste. Bell will have to hold. 2 gone. And now Sinfraco will come up. Padres bullpen is busy. If Sinfraco gets aboard, we'll have a pinch hitter for Tim Worrell. In fact, somebody's already come out into the on-deck circle. There is Kerry Taylor warming up in the bullpen again. And Billy Bean has come out on deck. Top of the 6th. There goes Bell. The ball is fouled away.
That's unusual.
Looks like he had it stolen, too. He had a big jump.
Well, he's down 5-1 with 2 outs.
If you can't get a jump, then when can you get a big jump? You know, I saw one the other night, Joe. Bo Jackson played a couple ball games this weekend for Chicago. Hit a tremendous home run. Hit doubles, hitting the ball well. I mean, he looks great. But also in a ball game the other night, he was leading 12-1 Friday against Baltimore. And on a 3-0 count, he swung away.
Did he get the swing 3-1, or did he hit it? Did he hit the 3-0 pitch?
No, he did. He swung and missed.
But
it was one of those swings where the crowd went, whoa.
And they threw a strike on the next pitch, too?
Let me just double. He ended up flying out deep to center on a 3-2 pitch. I think he took the 3-1 pitch, but swung at 3-0 pitch.
Some circles, he wouldn't have had a chance to swing at the 3-1 pitch.
You mean he would have been picking at it out of his ear, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, I know a lot of pitchers who would have been upset.
Well, we're talking about Don Drysdale. Big D was known to plant one in a hitter's ribs every now and again. Into right field, Chamberlain, and that is the inning. Sinfranco retired. 5-1 Phillies after 5.5.
At Anaheim Stadium, the Angels trying to stop the Indians' 8-game winning streak. Cliff Young delivers, and so does Chili Davis. Chili has 11 home runs on the year, all of them with runners on base. Talk about hitting in the clutch. California leads this one 4-0 in the third. John and Joe.
Thanks, Tom. And there is Kerry Taylor, the new pitcher for the San Diego Padres, out of relief of Tim Worrell. They made a few switches here to get Taylor. And Joe, he throws real hard, but look at that, a little bit wild.
29 bases on balls and only 37 innings pitched. More bases on balls than even strikeouts. And that's why he has an 0-5 record.
Phil Clark now the catcher. Clark hitting in the 8th spot, replacing Sinfranco. And Kevin Higgins, the catcher, moves over to play third base. So Clark, the new catcher, hits 9th. And Taylor, the pitcher, will hit 8th in place of Sinfranco. And Taylor throws Rivera, ball 1. Kerry Taylor was a Rule 5 draftee. That fastball in there. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ball, 1 strike to Rivera. He's had a sacrifice bunt and he's grounded out. Strike 2. 5-1. Philadelphia leading the Padres here. He made short work of Ben Rivera. 1 away. Mitch Williams. If this game's tight and it's late, we'll see Mitch in the 9th inning. Wild thing. And we saw him at 20 minutes of 5 Saturday morning. He was the man who drove in the winning run.
And again, Larry Boyd said the pitchers hit at 4:30 every afternoon. Mitch just thought it was 4:30 when he was hitting. He thought it was hitting practice.
He had about 3,000 people still in the ballpark, they thought, at 20 minutes to 5 a.m. A little bit before sunup. Mitch Williams drove in the winning run in the 10th inning of the 2nd game of the doubleheader.
Remember, though, he's not the wow thing anymore. He is simply the thing.
Oh, now he's the thing.
Yeah, the thing.
Len Dykstra, 2 singles and a walk, 2 runs scored, 2 runs batted in. Whacked it down the right field line. Gwynn to cut it off. Dykstra's going to try for 2. He swings.
And that's Phillies baseball led by Lenny Dykstra. It's a high fastball. Dykstra rips it down the right field line. Gwynn didn't think he was going to go, but he stops and fires to second, and it's close play at second as Dykstra slides in safely with a double.
24th double of the year for Len Dykstra. That ties him with Mark Grace of the Cubs and Dante Bichette of Colorado for the league lead in that category.
And he's in a position to score another run on his way to the 158 record.
Man, he's been something. Let's see. Bichette, by the way, hit a double today. He's got 25. He now leads the league. And Milt Thompson takes ball 1. Thompson has tripled, grounded out, and singled. He has a run batted in. 1 out. Runner at second. 2-0. Kruk is on deck.
You know, I noticed something, John. I'm fascinated with home runs, stolen bases, defensive plays. You're fascinated with doubles.
I like doubles.
I know.
I think it's underrated as a number. You know, everybody talks about 30 home runs. That's big, and that's important. But I think some guy hits a lot of doubles. That's important too.
That will roll for a while. Dykstra scores. Thompson into second base. 6-1.
Derek Bell went for everything and got nothing.
It's the second time that Thompson has crossed them up because they're leaving a gap in right center field. Bell is playing him around towards left field, and he hits it in the right center, and Bell tries to catch up with it, just can't quite get there. And Dykstra is halfway. Now he sees that Bell can't get there, and he takes off. That's good base running by Dykstra because you look to see where the outfielders are playing before the ball is hit, and you should know whether they can get to it or not.
It's like he judged more quickly than Bell judged that Bell wouldn't be able to get that one. Here's Kruk, and he takes ball one. He was off and running, and Bell was still going for the catch.
John, you probably should pull for Kruk to get a hit because he says every time we show up, he goes over. And he says he's going to stop talking to us.
He said that the last year, and he said that the year before.
And he also said it again this year, and he's over.
Yeah,
he was over the first time.
But we still keep coming in the next year, and he keeps talking to us. Let's face it, he has a short memory, Joe.
He has an unusual stance, but when he gets ready to hit, he is in good hitting position.
Takes a strike, 2-1.
Stands deep in the box with an open stance, but when he strides into the pitch, he closes his stance. And again, I think the thing I like most about his hitting style is there's not a lot of movement, a lot of wasted motion.
Guy who's wide open like that and hitting 400 is Andres Galarraga from the right side of the plate. Not just like this, but I mean still wide open. And we'll see tomorrow night in our telecast too, Robin Ventura, the White Sox.
That one is drilled left center field into the alleyway. It will go to the wall. Thompson comes in to score and into second with another double, the third in a row. John Kruk. 7-1 Philadelphia.
I talked about John Kruk not having a lot of wasted motion. Now watch, he swings the bat, he gets the bat moving around, and at the top of his swing, now look, not much movement by the bat, just attacks the ball in the left center field. Now watch, see a lot of movement at the top up here, but once he steps into the pitch, stop it, right there, look at that perfect balance here by John Kruk. Good bat extension, just a good swing, and he lines it in the left center field for a double and a run batted in.
Now Dave Hollins, and he takes strike one from Kerry Taylor. Dykstra doubled down the right field line. Thompson kind of blooped a double into right center. Now Kruk has ripped a double into left center. 3 consecutive doubles. And it is 1-1. Hollins has struck out, but then he singled in the third and scored. And he hit a sacrifice fly in the fourth for his 51st run batted in. 7-1, the Phillies ahead in the 6th inning. Things starting to look back to normal for the Phillies. This is the way they played the first 2 months of the year. And curve misses. As of June 14th, they had an 11.5 game lead over the nearest competitor. At one point, their record was 45 wins and 17 losses. Amazing. Holding at second is Kruk. You see the Phillies with the Cardinals and Expos behind them. Since then, the Cardinals, even though they got swept this weekend by Houston, 13 out of 19, the Expos have not really taken much advantage. And the Phillies, and hey, that's not all that bad a cold spell there. 8 wins, 11 losses. However, more recently, they have lost 7 of their last 10. That's their worst slide of the year. Why, Joe, it got so bad they even had a 3-game losing streak in the middle of that. Fans here went into a state of shock. Now, the Detroit Tigers, there's a club that went into a slump. They've lost 12 of their last 13. 1-12. If that happens to the Phillies,
yeah, that's different.
They should really get worried. A strike. 3-2 now to Hollins. He's hitting .279. Phillies had 12 hits in this game. And the top two men of the order, the guys who get it started, Dykstra and Thompson, they've come to bat 8 times and they've reached base 7 times. There's another base hit. Rounding third, Kruk, he'll be held as Gwynn comes up firing. Perfect throw to the plate. McGriff fake cutting that one off, ensuring that Hollins would hold. Runners at first and third, and Darren Dalton is coming up. 4 consecutive hits for the Phillies against this hard-throwing rookie, Kerry Taylor. Dalton came up with the runners at first and third and 1 out of the first and grounded out. Came up with a man at first and the third and flied out. And grounded out into a force play in the 4th inning with a man at first. Got an RBI chance here. Chased that high fastball and lofts it high and fouled into the upper deck. There's Tim Mauser, who until Friday was a Philadelphia Philly. And they traded him. He had to walk from one side of the field to the other after the trade. Now he's a Padre and he's warming up in the bullpen. One ball, 1 strike to Dalton. Randy Smith on the road trip looking to make some trades. Doesn't look like he's busy on the phone right now. If you're a general manager watching and you're interested in some players, might call the Veterans Stadium press box and ask for Randy Smith. Kind of like the home shopping network here, Joe. 3-1 the count. There is Kruk at third base, and Hollins is over at first base. It's a walk. Bases loaded, and let's go to Tom Mees.
All right, John, in Kansas City, a big game tonight between the Royals and the Blue Jays. 2-2 game. Enrico Rossi. Line drive to left center. Make it a 2-1 game at this point. And here comes Phil Hyatt going to try and score. The relay is up the line. Hyatt scores. It's 3-1 Royals. Kansas City making a pitching change, though, in the top of the inning. Toronto is threatening. John?
Wow, the Royals making life real tough on the Toronto Blue Jays. They've won each of the first 2 games of that series by scores of 3-2. And now they are leading the Jays tonight. Here's Wes Chamberlain. Bases loaded, 1 out, 2 runs in. 5 straight Phillies have reached base. Kerry Taylor with a breaking ball for a strike. Chamberlain has hit one back to the pitcher. He's grounded it short, and he is singled. 1 for 3. There's Jim Riggleman. You knew there would be nights like this, I guess, as a manager. Wes. It's one of the reasons why Wes is hitting a 0-0-0 with the bases loaded this year.
Well, the pitch never started in the strike zone. He just chased it. I think he made up his mind he was going to swing before Taylor released the pitch.
Bases loaded. Chops it off McGriff's glove. Gardner has no play. Coming in to score is Kruk. And it is 8-1. Well, he swung at another bad pitch, and it worked out well for him.
That's an AstroTurf base hit there all the way. The ball is chopped over the head of McGriff. It was a sinker away and just reached out and chopped it. McGriff is trying to back up and make the catch. Goes off the edge of his glove. And it's an infield hit for Chamberlain.
Base is still loaded, and here is Morandini. Ball 1. Every time I hear Mickey Morandini's name, I always think of the great Phillies broadcaster Harry Callis. Mickey Morandini, the left-handed batter. 1 ball, no strikes. Into left center field. It's caught out there. And they will turn it into a double play. The left fielder Plantier throwing out Hollins, who tried to score. Maybe the Phillies said, hey, enough is enough. 8-1 Phillies after 6. ESPN's presentation of Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by Acura Automobiles. Experience precision-crafted performance. And by the more than 700 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the right parts at the right price. And there is the Liberty Bell, as you might have guessed, in the foreground. And in the background, Independence Hall, where President Bill Clinton earlier gave the Liberty Medal to Nelson Mandela and South African President F.W. de Klerk. 1 million people visit the Liberty Bell each year, and 800,000 people visit the Independence Hall right here in Philadelphia. Today, Joe, I went over and visited Carpenter's Hall. It's a spot where the First Continental Congress met, and where some key moments, some of them not so public moments, in the formation of this country occurred, and also the formation of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Phil Clark, the hitter, against Ben Rivera. We're in the 7th inning now. 8-1, the Phillies lead the game, and Rivera with the hook. 0-2. Clark up for the first time. He was with the Tigers for a little while last year. He's hitting .312. 2 homers, 8 RBIs. Jeff Gardner, the leadoff man, on deck. That's a foul out of play. Phil Clark, born in Texas, lives in Lakeland, Florida now. Finally got to the big leagues with the Tigers last year, and he hit well. He got 54 at-bats for the Tigers last year and hit .407, just like John Olerud. Although Olerud's now up around 254 at-bats and hitting .407. Phil Clark signed in 1986 out of Crockett High School. He was the Tigers' first-round selection that year. And, of course, his brother, Gerald Clark, used to be with the Padres, now with Colorado. This is Hollins. And he got Phil Clark. There's another Clark brother, Isaiah Clark, who played in the Milwaukee Brewers organization, the Clarks, in the big leagues. See, Gerald's hitting pretty well for Colorado, about 280. Of course, they all seem to hit well when they're playing in Denver, and then they don't hit so well when they leave Denver.
I've always thought that Gerald Clark was going to be a star in this league, and I still think that he will.
Here's Jeff Gardner. Shallow left, base hit. First hit of the game for Gardner. Hit number 4 for the Padres. Doubleheader action on the holiday tomorrow at 2 o'clock. The Pittsburgh Pirates, Jeff King, Jay Bell and company, and then the Cincinnati Reds. They're really hitting the ball well. The Reds and the Pirates at 2:11 Pacific. And then the Big Hurt, Frank Thomas, Robin Ventura and company, the Chicago White Sox, and the first place and world champion Toronto Blue Jays with the 400 hitter, John Olerud. That's tomorrow at 7:30, 4:30 Pacific. The completion of our holiday doubleheader. Joe and I will be in Toronto. Are you driving?
No, I think you better drive.
Yeah. Well, I got the Queen Mary right out there in the Delaware River, ready to go. We'll just rev her up and sail on up there, Joe. This is Gutierrez and Ricky with a swinging strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. Gutierrez was a shortstop in the Orioles farm system. And as you might imagine, that doesn't have a big future in it. Because the Orioles have used the same shortstop for every game since 1982. So Gutierrez was, I'm sure, not too displeased when he got traded to the Padres last year. Craig Lefferts went to the Orioles, and eventually Lefferts was set free. Now he's with the Texas Rangers. And Ricky Gutierrez, given a shot this year, brought up for the minor leagues. He's done fairly well. Tonight he's walked twice and struck out. He's scored the Padres' only run. They trail 8-1 in the 7th. Next Sunday we'll be in New York to look at the Dodgers and the Mets. And that'll be the final game before the All-Star break. And Rivera curves him but misses. 3-2 to Gutierrez. Jim Riggleman, Padres manager. Not much to do right here except try to continue to offer some encouragement to the young guys. Down 8-1 in the 7th. Tony Gwynn is on deck. Runner goes. The ball is into right center field. That's a base hit. Chamberlain over to cut it off. Going into third base is Gardner on the single by Gutierrez. So an RBI opportunity presents itself for Tony Gwynn. Hit number 5 for the Padres.
Well, the Padres are doing a lot of things positive. They're hitting and running. They're still trying to steal bases, even though they're down 8-1. You see the runner stop at second. Now he realizes it's a base hit, so he continues on around to third base. But they're not just sitting and waiting. They're trying to make things happen. We saw Derek Bell try to steal third base with 2 outs, down 5-1. I don't necessarily agree with that, but at least they're not just sitting back watching the Phillies play.
Johnny Padres out there. And Jim Fragosi's got his bullpen heating up now. As the left-hander number 40, David West, and number 48 is Roger Mason.
Newly acquired Roger Mason.
Yeah, he was a Padre 2 days ago. Tony Gwynn, he's hit the ball hard 3 times tonight, has 2 hits, a single and a double. Ball 1. Gwynn is lying to left. He's doubled off the wall in left center, and he has ripped a single into right. His average up to 318 now. The infield back. That's a foul out of play. Tony Gwynn's a guy. I like his approach, Joe. I mean, he leaves nothing to chance. He's meticulous in preparation for each game and each pitcher. And he's got all these videotape files of what every pitcher has done to him in every previous at bat. He studies them. And he lines this one. Another base hit, his 3rd of the game. Cut off nicely by Dykstra. He throws toward third, enabling Gwynn to go to second as the run scores. Gardner scores, Gutierrez to third, and Tony Gwynn with his 3rd straight hit and his 2nd double of the game. 8-2 for the Phillies, and McGriff is coming up.
Again, the Padres are still playing very aggressive baseball. It's a fastball up, and Gwynn just lines it in the left center field. Nice cutoff by Dykstra. Throws to third base. And going into second was Gwynn. He wouldn't have been able to hold Gwynn to a single even if he would have thrown to second base.
Yeah, Gwynn was thinking double from the moment he hit it. He ran hard all the way. Fred McGriff curves it. Ooh, where was that? Ball 1. McGriff a single, a sacrifice fly, and a ground out. McGriff in this series has driven in 7 runs this weekend. 2 homers. He's in a spot now he could make it rather interesting here in the 7th inning. He's got 18 home runs for the year. And heading for the plate, Gutierrez, he's in there. Gwynn takes third. It is 8-3.
Well, it looked like a wild pitch from Rivera. It bounced in front of the plate. Dalton tried to block it. It didn't get very far from home plate. So it bounces. Dalton with his entire body in front of it, but it hits his glove and bounces away. Dalton on top of it quickly, but not in time at the plate, and the Padres now have a 3rd run here.
So Gwynn now at third base. By the way, the official scorer is saying that he'll only get a single on that base hit. single for Gwynn and third in the throw, but I don't think so.
That was a double all the way, but only because they threw to third base. Maybe he figured he went up on the throw.
Here's the pitch. McGriff lifts a fly ball, shallow left center. Batiste is out. Gwynn tagging and bluffing, and Batiste knew he was bluffing, so he'll run it back in. By the way, the official score has just changed it back again. A double for Tony Gwynn.
Well, he got it right this time.
Yeah. Coca-Cola Homers for America is back today for the third straight 4th of July as Major League Baseball and Coca-Cola donate. And what do we have here? Is that $5,000? Wow. $5 grand? $5K?
Per home run.
5,000 home run, $5,000 per home run on all July 4th major and minor league games. Up to this point, there have been 101 home runs hit, meaning $505,000 for building and renovating youth league baseball diamonds. Maybe Plantier can add another $5 grand to that total. That's a nice idea. I like that idea. Plantier is capable of going deep and get 12 home runs. He takes a strike. 2 runs in, 2 men down, and Gwynn at third base. Plantier has walked, grounded to short, and struck out of the game. 8-3. The Phillies lead the Padres. 7th inning. Popped him up. Morandini, and that's the inning. 2 runs, 3 hits. Batiste will lead it off. 8-3 Phillies.
Miller Genuine Draft brings us this date in baseball. 10 years ago today, Yankee Stadium, New York. Dave Righetti and the Yankees against the Red Sox. Righetti 1 out away from a no-hitter. It strikes out Wade Boggs to pitch the no-hitter. Righetti also pitched in New York today as a member of the Giants. He pitched 2/3 of an inning, gave up 2 hits, 2 earned runs. But 10 years ago today, no-hit Righetti in the Bronx. John?
All right, Tom, and here we are 10 years later at the Vet in Philadelphia. 8-3, the Phillies leading the San Diego Padres. There's the new pitcher, the former Philly. Now he's ready to face the Phillies for the Padres. Tim Mauser on the pitch. And we've also got a new left fielder in as well. You see Mauser's numbers there. Billy Bean goes out to play left field. So Plantier leaves, and Mauser will hit in the Plantier's spot. And Bean will hit in the number 8 spot of the order. Yeah, gotta love those double switches there, Joe.
I don't know if it's accurate or not, but Gene Mauch was given credit for starting the double switch.
Ball is ripped by Batiste into right center field. Extra bases. A double for Batiste, his 3rd hit of the game. John Miller and Joe Morgan. Sunday night baseball from the Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia on the 4th of July. The Phillies 8 and the Padres 3, the 4th game of this series. Padres have won 2 of the first 3. The Phillies, with a win, would move 7 games up over second place St. Louis. And here is Ruben Amaro pinch hitting for Philadelphia starter Ben Rivera. Amaro just recently up in the minor leagues, hitting .480. Fouls it off. Tim Mauser, the 3rd pitcher of the game for the Padres in there. Boston Red Sox defeated the Seattle Mariners 6-0 out in Seattle. For a while, the Red Sox couldn't even get a hit against Basio, but had a 1-0 lead. Apparently, they got a few hits eventually in that game. The Red Sox are real hot. That's 11 wins in their last 12 games. They're moving up in the pack. As Amaro grounds out, Batiste moves over to 3rd. And we go to the top of the order for Len Dykstra. He and Milt Thompson, hitting 1 and 2 in the order, have been the wrecking crew tonight. Dykstra's reached base 4 times, 3 hits, a walk, 3 runs scored, and 2 driven in. pitcher hitting .294 now. McGriff robs him and holds that runner at third base. Dykstra retired for the first time. 2 down. Here is Milt Thompson now. Thompson has a single, a double, and a triple. So if he can hit a home run here, he will have hit for the cycle. He has hit 2 home runs in 168 at bats. So the home run is not the most likely thing to happen here, but he's got 3/4 of the cycle.
Normally the most difficult part is the triple.
It's just the most rare.
Yeah.
Bowser misses with a sinker. 2-0 the count. I mentioned the Boston Red Sox winning that ball game. Boston, if Toronto loses tonight, Boston will be 6 games out of first. For the American League East. And we do have a final. Toronto did lose. They got swept in Kansas City. 3-1 the final. The Royals over the Blue Jays. The plot thickens in the American League East. A lot of teams are playing well over there. Ball forward to Milt Thompson. He reaches for the 4th time. And John Kruk is coming up. Kruk is walked, grounded out, fly deep to center, and he has doubled home a run. 1 for 3.
Well, at least we're off the hook now.
Yeah, it's first time that Kruk has ever had a hit on Sunday Night Baseball. Is that it?
Yes.
John, welcome to the show. He was saying he wasn't going to talk to us. I was going to say, if he's never going to get a hit, we're just going to quit showing it. That looked like a split-fingered pitch there. 0-1 the count. Yankees are playing in Oakland tonight. The Yankees could beat Oakland. They'd be 1 game back at Toronto. Detroit 3.5 out. Baltimore 4.5 out. Boston now 6 games out. Yanks are leading Oakland 2-0 in the 5th at the Coliseum. Back of Jimmy Key. Yeah, there were some big free agent pitchers that were signed this year, Joe. I mean, for lots of money. Murray Chance of the New York Times had an item today that, like, there were 10 pitchers who were signed for something like $137 million or some incredible thing like that. Jimmy Key's the one who's doing better than any of them.
Yeah, but he didn't go free.
Well, no, but he said he listed him as one of the big ones.
Yeah.
But he's the one who's doing well. He's the one that's doing what they hoped he'd do. He's exceeded expectations. And 3-1. Dave Hollins is on deck. In that ball game at Kansas City, 40,000 at Royal Stadium, a sellout. And Chris Haney, you know Larry Haney? Chris Haney, his son, Larry Haney, the old catcher, now a scout with Milwaukee. Chris Haney got the win tonight. He's 5-1 for Kansas City. Todd Stottlemyre, the loser, the son of Mel. 3-2 to Kruk. Batiste at third and Thompson at first.
Well, you see Kruk chased this pitch that moves out of the strike zone.
He's angry with himself there, chasing after him.
Is that what I heard?
Shoot, he said.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Doggone. Runner first goes, and the ball is fouled. Back to the screen. 3-2. It's Kansas City. They got Brian McRae, Hal's son. They got Chris Haney, Larry Haney's son. They've got George Brett, who is old enough to be his own father when he started out 19 years ago. Runner goes, half swing, foul. Another guy who's doing well for the Kansas City club while we're on the topic. Gary Gaetti got loose by the Angels. He's become a regular in Kansas City and is doing real well. He drove in a run tonight. Runner goes, ball 4 to Kruk, and the bases are loaded for Dave Hollins. Well, the All-Star game will be a week from Tuesday. John Kruk, who just walked, a leading vote getter at the last tabulation at first base. There are the other National League leaders as of last week. There'll be a new list, I guess, tomorrow or Tuesday. The voting ends today. John Kruk. I mean, he's had certainly a strong enough year to warrant being there. And there's a strike to Dave Hollins. I was thinking maybe Mark Grace from the Cubs.
Andres, the big cat, Galarraga,
Yeah,
hitting 400.
400. He deserves to be there.
Plus, he's third in the league in runs batted in.
And he was on the disabled list in doing all that. How about Bagwell from Houston?
Yes.
But who deserves to start? There's Batiste. Well, think about it for a minute. Batiste
You're
at
asking
third.
me who I would vote for, you mean?
Yeah. Thompson at second, and Kruk at first.
I would have to think about that.
You know, I just say Kruk is having another big start.
Right.
Another big year. But how could you not go with Andres Galarraga hitting 400?
Right.
I want to see the two 400 hitters in the All-Star game starting against each other.
Plus, I think Galarraga is a little better defensively than Kruk. Of course, you have Mark Grace over in Chicago that's a good hitter and a good defensive player.
Yeah. And Grace, for the first time, really driving in lots of runs. There's Darren Dalton. He's got to be the catcher. 62 RBIs. Iron Man behind the plate. Way outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
But you know it's an off year when you do not mention Will Clark of the San Francisco Giants.
And he still couldn't get elected.
Right.
He was second last week to Kruk in the voting. He was ahead of Galarraga, Bagwell, and Grace. Only Kruk was ahead of him. Ryan Sandberg ahead of everybody at second base.
Robbie Thompson, the Giants having a good year as well.
That split-fingered pitch, a check swing, no swings, as third base umpire Wally Bell. 2-2 the count. I think, actually, all things considered, Robbie Thompson's having the best year of any second baseman in the National League. When it's all over with, Rhino probably will have his numbers up there.
Although he was injured early and he has not had the same power that he's had in the past.
Strike 3 call. And Hollins can't believe it. Bases left loaded, and the fans in Philly a little incensed. 8-3 Phillies. Sunday Night Baseball scorecard. The Phillies 8 runs, 15 hits. The Padres 3 runs, 6 hits. And Dykstra and Thompson, the first 2 hitters in the order, combined with 6 hits. And they have reached base a grand total of 8 times in 10 trips to the plate. Len Dykstra made it 3-0 with this big 2-run single back in the second against starter Tim Worrell. One of Dykstra's 3 hits in the game. He's scored 3, driven home 2. We've seen the Phillies do what they've done a lot of this year. Now here's a former Padre. He's gained a few games in the standings this weekend. Roger Mason, back in the National League East. You may recall him being with the Pirates the last couple of years. And the Phillies a little concerned, Fregosi a little concerned about his bullpen maybe being a little too thin. And although Mason is 0-7 this year, with only 1 home run allowed, good hits to innings pitch ratio. This one disappeared up there. 0-2 to Derek Bell, who is 0-for-3 in the game. 8-3 the Phillies up. Mason had 8 saves for the Pirates last year. You may recall him in the playoffs a couple years ago, doing well against Atlanta. Hollins and Bell is retired. Let's go now to Tom Mees.
All right, John, if the Yankees win tonight at Oakland, they'll creep within 1 game of first place Toronto in the American League East. It's 2-0, 2 men on for Wade Boggs. And there it goes, a 3-run shot. And the Yankees are in control, 5-0. That homer off Ron Darling. The Yanks win tonight. They're a game out of first place. John?
All right, Tom, thanks. Wade Boggs, he won a game at Yankee Stadium the other night with a home run in extra innings against Detroit. I think it was last Monday. That was his first home run of the year. Now he's got another one.
Going for the big fly.
The big fly. Here is Kevin Higgins. Higgins is 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. And the count is 0-2. Wade Boggs leads the American League voters at third base in the All-Star balloting, or did his last look. Hey, got some more fireworks outside here in Philadelphia. Hollins cuts over in front of Batiste. Just in time to get Higgins. 2 down. Over in the American League, John Olerud. And Joe, I don't know if you can argue with Olerud for first base in the American League.
Well, it's a good argument. The power guy over the batting average. I mean, I'm a big Cecil Fielder fan because he is just an awesome talent.
Well, let's put it this way. Fielder's doing it for the 4th straight year, big time, and Olerud is just emerging for the first time. I mean, it's great to see the 400 hitter, but hey, Cecil certainly deserves to be there.
Yes, he does.
I mean, he got 72 RBIs. He leads the majors again.
And he was leading last year when he was left off the team.
Well, in fact, he has led the major leagues already 3 straight years in RBIs. Nobody's ever done it 4 times. And that's the inning. Billy Beane grounds out to second. We'll be back with further arguing. ESPN's presentation of Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by cold filtered Miller Genuine Draft. Get out of the old, get into the cold. And by AC Delco Automotive Parts. AC Delco, it's like buying time. Hey, we got fireworks in Philadelphia.
Real fireworks.
Yeah, man. Now, that's a show right there.
Now, that's a big fly fireworks.
Here we go now. By the way, that was the fireworks display at Penn's Landing. Thousands of people from Philadelphia and from Camden, New Jersey watching these spectacular fireworks. Those fireworks, by the way, we were showing were actually from last night, as there's a swinging strike by Dalton. It was all part of the week-long Welcome America celebration here. That fireworks last night followed a lighted boat parade and contest. And the view you saw was from historic Penn's Landing, where William Penn himself landed in 1682. By the way, right now we're sitting here looking at more fireworks in downtown Philly. This is the biggest celebration we've seen. Jeff Gardner throws out Dalton, who is 0 for 4 tonight with a walk. 1 down, and Chamberlain is coming up. Chamberlain 2 for 4 in the ball game. All right, so Joe, you got Olerud hitting 400, but Cecil Fielder getting it done again.
I voted for Cecil,
and he doesn't get respect.
No, he says he doesn't. He said people just take him for granted.
Well, they do. He's right. There's a base hit. But Chamberlain, his 3rd hit in a row, his first day back from the disabled list.
Well, at least he's 3rd this year.
Well, he was as of last week.
Yeah.
But he's behind Mark McGwire, who hasn't played since the end of April.
Well, he was lower last year.
Second base, Roberto Alomar is going to get it, but Carlos Baerga
having a good year.
You know, last week when we were in Cleveland, you know who was watching? Jim Eisenreich goes over to run for Chamberlain, by the way. Eisenreich, the pinch runner. You know who was watching our telecast last Sunday from a hotel room in Baltimore? Was Roberto Alomar. And we were talking about Baerga being underappreciated, that sort of thing. Alomar went up to me the next night in the ballpark and said, so you think Baerga should be the All-Star, huh?
I didn't say that.
Oh, no, he was talking to me.
Oh, good.
Not you. Well, he went out that night almost as if to prove a point, Joe. It was amazing. He had 4 hits, scored 3, drove home 1, stole 2.
And got your vote.
Afterward, we asked him, we had an interview with him after the game. He said, well, who do you think the best second baseman is? And you know what he said? He said, Joe Morgan. He says he loves Baerga. They roomed together for 4 years when they were both in the Padres organization. Is that unbelievable? Both of those guys used to be Padres. Both of them. And they're 2 of the best, maybe the two best second basemen in baseball right now. I mean, Sandberg, you can't discount Sandberg. But these guys are young guys. They're 24, 23 years old. And, I mean, they'll have to do it for a number of years to get to Sandberg's classification.
But I'm sure Alomar will, and I'm pretty sure that Baerga will.
But Alomar did say about Baerga, he said, hey, I watched him play, and I never thought that he'd ever be as good as he is at second base. He says, when we played together in the minors, he was a shortstop, and I was the second baseman. He says, though, he loves Baerga. They're both from Puerto Rico. They know each other well. He says his dream is that one day they'll play on the same team with Baerga at shortstop. Which I think says it all. Morandini down on strikes. Out number 2. Mauser strikes him out. 2 down in the 8th. And Batista's coming up. Sports Center comes up right after the ball game. Wimbledon, the men's final today. And the American League West is heating up. It better heat up. Nobody's winning over there. The White Sox won, though, and the Royals won. The American League East is heating up. The Phillies are trying to keep the National League East from heating up. All the highlights, the day in sports center right after the game. Batiste is out. So are the Phillies. We go to the 9th inning now. 8-3 Phillies. Happy Independence Day, everyone, from Philadelphia. I'm John Miller. Joe Morgan. Joe, look at this.
Yeah, I like that tie.
American flag.
American flag.
Very patriotic, eh?
Yeah.
All right. Back to action here. And a little foul ball hit by Phil Clark, who grounded a third in his first at bat. Jim Eisenreich stays in the ball game to play right field. He came on as a runner for Wes Chamberlain, who was prior to that the right fielder. Here's Eisenreich. Eisenreich, great man off the bench, hitting over 330. Batiste, been a busy man over there tonight. Ground balls, high throw. Well, he's been threatening to do that all night, and he finally did it.
Yes, he has. Yeah, I was talking to John Kruk. He says this year has been the worst for him as a first baseman. He says he really needs a hockey mask and a goalie stick to play first base here this year. A lot of throws offline in the dirt. As you see, he tries to catch it and tag Clark as he goes by, but he does not make the tag. Clark is safe his first error on the shortstop.
Kim Batiste with the error. Second error of the game for the Phillies. Hollins made one earlier. Roger Mason in his Phillies debut. Now facing Jeff Gardner. Strike one. Gardner 1 for 4. He singled back in the 7th and scored a run. Started a 2-run rally against Ben Rivera. This is Rivera's game to win. That is the 12th pitch that Mason has thrown since he came in this game, and it's the first one that was not a strike. So I imagine that Jim Fregosi likes what he's seen so far from Mason. Out of play. Dodgers here tomorrow to open a series with the Phillies. Oral Hershiser against Tommy Green, and then Pedro Astacio Tuesday versus Kurt Schilling and Ramon Martinez and Terry Mulholland. There's pretty good matchups in that 3-game series. Here at the vet the next 3 nights. First, the Phillies throw some pretty good pitching at you almost every night. Green's got 9 wins. Schilling has 8. Mulholland 9. Ben Rivera going for number 9 tonight, and he's ahead 8-3. Morandini throws out Gardner, who is 1 for 5, as Clark takes second. 1 away. Gutierrez coming up. All through the evening, we've had some beautiful pictures provided by the Blockbuster Video Blimp. This appearance tonight in Philly is part of its 1993 maiden tour to the eastern half of the United States. We welcome the Blockbuster Video Blimp and its crew to tonight's ESPN Sunday Night Baseball telecast. Glad to have them with us. Anytime, guys. Here's Gutierrez, who has walked twice and singled. He's been aboard 3 times and 4 trips, has scored 2 runs. That's a foul out of play off to the right. How about the Yankees, Joe? We talk about the Yankees, and they're leading tonight to be 1 game out if they beat Oakland. And yet Tartable was out for about a month. Mattingly's been out for a long period of time. They've had injury problems. Jim Abbott has not been a big winner for them. He was on the disabled list. And yet they're right there. They're scoring lots of runs. In the dirt, and down to third will go Clark. That one. It hit something right at the edge of the dugout there. Somebody's glove sitting right at the top step of the dugout. Wild pitch against Mason.
Well, I think the Yankees, are primed to make a run because, as you mentioned, they held in there while all their big guns were on the disabled list. Now they're all healthy. And I tell you what, when Tartable's healthy, he produces a lot of runs.
And I'll tell you one thing else. We saw Mattingly homer in Milwaukee. When was that? 2-3 weeks ago. Just getting back from the disabled list. Well, he's gotten hot since then. Mattingly's gotten his average up near 290. He's been slumping terribly. Boggs stays over 300, and all those role players are continuing to get it done. Guys like Gallego. I saw Gallego's hitting 336. Jim Leyritz. Base hit. Coming in to score is Clark. It is 8-4. 33,379 the crowd at the Vet tonight. Many have gone out to watch the fireworks and to join in the holiday revelry. But right now, the Padres had the power coming up and a chance to do some damage here in the ninth inning. Trailing 8-4. Johnny Padres will go to the mound.
When you think about, John, when you think about the Padres and all the trades that they have made and some that they're going to make in the future, I guess, Randy Smith says he's going to build a team back with pitching and defense, which is, I guess, the normal way to do it. But I still think you have to have some players in order to score some runs. I mean, if you don't score any runs, you just have pitching and defense, you're still not going to be that good a team. I'm still a little shocked at the fact that they didn't keep Sheffield, but they were afraid that if they kept him and he walked away as a free agent, they wouldn't get anything for him like they did Randy Myers and, of course, Santiago. They traded for Sheffield, which I think was a great trade, obviously, but then they traded Bip Roberts to Cincinnati for Randy Myers, and now both of them are gone, plus Bip Roberts is gone. So they've really, I think they have to make better trades in the future than they made in the last couple of years.
Johnny Gwynn, the hitter, swung at that forkball. Let's see if they can turn to 2 here. No. Gwynn 3 for 5 now. He swung at a forkball there, and it might have hit the dirt had he not hit it.
Here's the flip to Batiste. He comes across. He can't get the ball out of his glove, so he bounces it to first base. Nice play by John Kruk. You can see he kind of looked up and made a swipe at it and came up with it.
Two down, Fred McGriff has singled, hit a sacrifice fly, grounded out and popped out. He is 1 for 3 officially, wrapping up his big weekend in Philly. Right to Morandini, and the ball game is over. The Phillies have won it to gain a split in the series, and they move back to 7 games up on second place, St. Louis.
Well, I think the Phillies are a good team, and I think they're the team to beat in the East. I think they're still going to hang on. They're going to have some peaks and valleys. They just have to keep them from coming too often.
Rivera wins his 9th. Worrell, the loser. Now, an Independence Day doubleheader tomorrow. The Pirates and Reds at 2:11 Pacific. And in the White Sox and Blue Jays, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. That's where Joe and I will be. And we'll see you next Sunday night from New York with the Dodgers and the Mets, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Stay tuned. Sports Center is next. Final score here, 8-4 Phillies. John Miller for Joe Morgan. Good night.